Welcome everyone to week 3 of Runeterra Academy's junior division. I am Tiger. I'm here with Miles David. Once again, we've got Air Esports Revival today against Nameless Empire, a couple of teams in the middle of the pack. Should be a fun one.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, we are in week 3, I believe, for junior division. So, I mean, it's still pretty early. Things are still starting to heat up. So you got a lot of time to experiment, to do some stuff that might be a bit different than what you're used to in order to practice new compositions. And especially since the meta is kind of changing, Tiger. So we've got a lot of buffs towards a lot of different champions. In the top lane, we've seen a lot more carry picks, carry oriented champions go up there. In the jungle, we've been seeing some new spicy picks. I don't know, Tiger. Have you seen Jungle Zed? He got real buff and is apparently OP in solo queue right now.
I have been playing a little bit of the solo queue, so I have seen this Zed in the jungle a little bit. I don't know how I feel about it, assassins in the jungle, but I mean, I guess
It's
that
a
there's
staple,
normally
man. It's a staple of solo queue.
yeah, well, we'll see what's gonna happen between these two teams. I feel like what I've seen just looking into their past games is that the junglers like to play stuff that can gank early, so I'm not so sure that we'll see any of the assassin junglers this time around. But hopefully, we should get some exciting early games with the picks like the Jarvan and the Xin Zhao that these teams have played.
Yeah, definitely. Those are the kind of picks we want to see from them. Zenja though getting banned away, so probably not gonna see see that anyway. And Soraka and Lulu being banned now. Talk about Nameless Empire. I believe you said that they were having some experimental stuff in the bot lane where they would have like, and we've seen more of this in higher solo queue where we see double supports more often down there in the bot lane. So it should be interesting if they decide to pull it out. Air Esports Revival, they are going for the Jarvan, as you said, first pick immediately. So see how they plan about that. And they on the other side, Nameless Empire answering with the Skarner. Definitely
Yeah,
another interesting pick with a lot of pick potential, especially if our esports survivor are gonna go for like more of a hard carry with one damage comp. And ooh, Seraphine. Seraphine and
yeah.
Skarner in one team. You don't see that every day, especially in the lore.
Yeah, that's got some strange lore implications. But speaking of the Seraphine, we were just mentioning earlier that Nameless Empire has done some strange looking bot lanes. One of them was a Vagar Seraphine combination. That happened last week. They were able to win that game, so it would be interesting to see if they go with some other mage with the Seraphine once again, or if they want to go with a more traditional marksman. Even it could be like a Seraphine Lux lane. I've definitely
Well, that'd
saw
be
that
interesting.
on Seraphine's release as a common idea, but it's like Seraphine's the better version of the Sona that went with like the Sona Lux in more in some of the older competitive metas.
Yeah. Meanwhile, on Air Esports side, look at the amount of dive they have. It looks like they're just gonna go for the Seraphine Veigar bot lane again. Now, I like the fact that they're still going for this because Veigar does have the event horizon, which he can use to deter Jarvan, Nautilus, and Silas from going in. Right, it's gonna be a very useful tool for them going into this game. Otherwise, if Veigar is unable to protect himself too well, he could just gonna get hit over and over by Jarvan diving in, Nautilus going in with his hook, Silas dashing in, using his abscond abduct to just outright kill Veigar. He can also steal the ultimate from Veigar, although not the AP. So there's at least that solace for
Yeah,
for the side of for the side of Nameless Empire, rather.
Yeah, Nameless Empire, I feel like is in a really good spot right now because, like you're saying, Air Esports have a lot of engage potential with Nautilus, Jarvan, and Silas all being able to set up engages. But there is so much counter engage in Nameless Empire. They've got Vagar's Event Horizon, Seraphine's Encore, Skarner's Impale. I mean, basically, if you go in and don't get kills right away as Air Esports, you're going to end up getting killed in the counter engage, especially like the Silas is going to not have enough HP to survive a full burst combo. And depending on the Jarvan build, that could be trouble as well. But I think that right now, Air Esports Revival are going to have to modify the comp a bit to be able to work around the fact that all of this counter engage is in play. Something like if they can fit a Morgana in there with a spell shield, that would be nice. to be able to have something with unstoppable, maybe like a Scion that can go in and not have to worry about just getting charmed up in the
I mean,
beginning of the fight.
Zion too would fit into the theme, right, of what they're going for. Because Zion can definitely be the engaged potential for their team as well, while still being unstoppable due to CC, as you said. So I definitely like your idea there, Tiger. Now, Volibear being picked up is very interesting because he kind of doesn't fit the theme of what they want, but he can be definitely a deterrent. And Dr. Mundo is going to be picked up instead. Now, his ult did get buffed. Grievous Wounds doesn't work on it anymore. So that's gonna be very hard to deal with. And look at the champions Nameless Empire has. They kind of have the burst. They do have a Veigar, but they don't really have too much consistent damage. So what they kind of expect from Nameless Empire, maybe an ADC going towards mid lane. Lucian isn't as good anymore, but maybe a Tristana mid could end up working out for them super well.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that Tristana is banned currently, but
Oh
I
wait.
would like to see something like Evolution pick up here against 2.5 to 3 tanks here on the side of Air Esports Revival.
That's
And
there we go.
that's not
That's
a
also an
marksman,
option.
but yeah, just getting the melee DPS in Yone, not a bad pickup here at all, I don't think. And that should mean that we're getting Volibear versus Mundo in the top lane, Silas versus Yone mid, and then Jing Nautilus, Veigar, Seraphine bot. I think that's a lot of close matchups. I think that especially the mid lane is a huge skill matchup here, so I'm going to be excited to see if the junglers are going to spend a bunch of time here in the mid lane, just try to move around the map, or if it's going to be a lot of farming going on.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. We'll see. Looking at these two composition, it's interesting. Honestly, I would favor Air Esports Revivals composition just because it kind of makes a lot more sense. Meanwhile, Nameless Empire, they kind of have a mismatch of different kinds of styles they want to pull off. They want Veigar and Seraphine to kind of stay in the back line. Well, meanwhile, Volibear, Yone, and Skarner, they want to go in. Like, who's going to protect these two in the back line is the big question. If Silas comes in with a big flank, or Jarvan or something like that, it could really ruin Nameless Empire's day. And team fights are kind of where we're gonna be looking at between these two team comps because Yone does have the split push potential, but like you kind of definitely want him to be there when it comes to the big fights that happen around the map, especially around big objectives.
Yeah, I agree with you that it's going to be a lot of situations where the awareness of Nameless Empire is going to be important. But I really do like Nameless Empire's comp here actually because there's a lot of wave clear and a lot of counter engage. So it's going to be very difficult for Air Esports Revival to siege this out. So being able to actually finish the game is going to be a difficulty for the side of Air Esports Revival in this game, I believe. And if they try to force anything ever and it goes awry, then I mean Veigar's really good at taking down towers. Yone's good at taking down towers. Volibear is good at it. If they've got damage for neutral objectives as well, they can punish pretty effectively, and they've got the tools to win fights.
They definitely have the tools, but the execution feels like it's so much harder, for the side of Nameless Esports because they have to do a lot in order to get themselves into that position to be able to win the fights, as you said. Meanwhile, on the side of Air Esports Revival, they just press R to win, because who is going to be killing this Doctor Mundo? Even though Yone does have some form of consistent DPS, I don't think it's just gonna be enough. Doctor Mundo, I'm super high on the pick right now, Tiger. I don't know. I don't know if you noticed, but I'm super high on the pick.
Yeah, Dr. Mundo definitely pretty powerful. One pick that I'm not really sure where it's at exactly is the Skarner. I think that Skarner has been in like the second tier of jungle picks for a while. But I definitely think that at his best, Skarner is going to be an impactful champion in the game, especially for setting up picks. And other than being engaged upon and finding the right counter engage, getting picks is the secondary objective for the comp that Nameless Empire have here, and they can definitely lock down a pick and finish the kill pretty easily, even on the bruisers. Mundo, like you said, could be difficult because his spell shield makes it hard to get the initial pick onto him. But anyone else on the team, I feel, is pretty susceptible to just getting impaled and then killed by the rest of the team.
The also one thing I wanted to point out about the Skarner pick is that Jarvan can kind of counter him with his ultimate, the Cataclysm. Skarner doesn't have a way over that unless he uses his flash. So if Jarvan manages to lock Skarner down, meanwhile Jinx is just at the backside, unable to be touched by the side of Nameless Empire, then they're pretty much screwed. Honestly, they have to rely on getting picks around the map, so that means their vision control has to be up to par for one. They have to make sure that it's the enemy team that's face checking into them instead of the other way around. Because if it's a 5v5, they're definitely. I feel like they're definitely not gonna win out on that one.
Well, it should be a pretty interesting some skill matchups going on here. Easier to execute versus harder to execute, and a lot of macro going to be important in this game as well. We're going to go into a short break, and on the other side, we'll have game number 1 of Air Esports Revival versus Nameless Empire. Welcome to the Rift for game number 1. We've got on the blue side Air Esports Revival, and on the red side Nameless Empire getting out onto the Rift, and it should be a good one.
Oh yeah, definitely. I'm just happy I have this new computer so I can load into the game super fast. If you guys notice, it didn't take 5 minutes to get into the game. It's because finally I have a system that works. Anyway, we are starting out with possibly a bit of an invade here, coming in between a boss leading the way on this corner pick, but Core immediately spots it out. They just put a ward down to make sure that they can track the enemy jungler. But besides that, there might end up being a level 1 fight. We'll see as Mundo and Jarvan might be going in.
Yeah, Ryuji going deep for a ward of his own, so it looks like there should be a trading from both side junglers to make
Ooh.
sure that they know where the enemy jungler is at the beginning of the pathing. I think that it looks like blue side starts potentially for both junglers, so we'll see if there's any early ganks. Definitely could see that coming with the Jarvan in the fourth and a Skarner in play.
Yeah, if Jarvan wants, he could definitely cheese Nabrizi on the top lane with a level 2 gank if he really wants to. Of course, if it doesn't work out, he'll be put very far behind. But a boss, the fact that they're starting on opposite sides of the map means he's kind of safe to be able to clear out this entire side of the jungle and get to level 6. Because as soon as Skarner reaches level 6, that's the money moment, right? That's when you want. That's the realm that he definitely wants to be playing in. Oliver has to be a
Yeah,
bit careful. Can't eat too many of those hooks, especially from Nautilus. He will stun you up super well. And well, a Jinx snowballing is very scary. Definitely not something you want to be able to fight against.
absolutely. I mean, either of these carries in the bot lane snowballing would be pretty menacing. I think that Vagar getting fed, being able to one shot the people with the combo QWR would be just as dangerous. So, as you say, the hooks, the early game power coming out from the side of Air Esports Revival. We'll see if the trades continue to go in favor and the push stays in favor of Air Esports.
Yep, right now the bot lane, it's going in their favor, and it's the opposite in the top lane where Nameless Empire is winning out on that trade with the early game power of the Volibear can be very strong. But I definitely believe in the scaling of the Mundo. He can just be such a menace, such a it'll be very hard to be able to deal with him soon enough. And level 6, it'll be a toss up on who will win the fight there. I think Mundo will eventually win just because there's no way for Nabrizi to stop the regen from happening. Even if he does turn into his a big form, the stun dumps up. That's a lot
Yeah.
of damage. Bobby Rob has to be careful.
Bobby Rob just trying to stay alive. Gank came through in the mid lane from Air Esports, but it looks like flash burn from Lahi to keep himself alive. Nabrizi may be looking
Oh,
for a
what? Is he going
W,
for it?
trying to go into tower. Flash for flash. Bobby
Oh
Rob could
no!
be in trouble, but the minions are taking Nabrizi down. He may fall yet. He's going to stay alive on a sliver of HP for the moment, trying to recall out of the brush. We'll see if he's be caught out here. Bobby Rob maybe going to try to find him,
Oh,
but it looks like Nabrizi is out.
that was very close. I think Bobby Rob would have checked a little sooner. Maybe could have gone for it, but well, it's still a possibility. It's
Oh, here
dangerous
comes
either way. They're going in.
trying to find the kill on Lahi. Not going to go for it yet. Lahi goes back to the body, and it's
Oh,
first blood going over to Economical. Traded back a balls now trying to get himself out. The Ignite taking down the shield comes through. He's living on a sliver of
what?
health, less than 10.
What? Okay, a balls manages to make it out of there barely, so it is gonna be just a 1-for-1 in the end. But well, with the Skarner who picked up the kill, and on the other side was Silas who picked up the kill. So that's definitely a trade that will end up favoring the side of Air Esports Survival. Or Air, I kind of forgot the. Wait.
Yeah, that's the name.
Alright, Air
You got
Esports
it.
Survival. Alright, there we go. We got it. I kind of lost confidence in myself for 1 second there and teleport right in to an angry bear, but looks like Bobby Rob has the level advantage. The Breezy has.
Nabrizi could be in trouble here. Going to be one more auto
Oh,
attack. There's no flash for Nabrizi, and Bobby Rob picking up the solo kill.
that was definitely a bit questionable by the Breezy choosing to fight there. He has a level disadvantage and an item disadvantage. So, deciding to fight there, I'd say, is kind of a big mistake coming in from the volley bear. Especially now, he's gonna get further behind. Okay, thankfully he has to use his teleport now in order to make sure he doesn't get further behind on levels. If he didn't have that teleport, he would have been really screwed up there in the top lane, especially with Mundo getting stronger and stronger. Has to be careful. And Core,
Well, good hook on the wall. Farok looking for a stun. Going to be able to land it, but that's just going to be about it. No more follow up available. The roam attempt from Leahy going to not quite show up in the bot lane. Drake has spawned. The first Drake of the game is an Ocean, so we'll see if either side going to make an attempt to take that objective anytime soon.
yeah, it looks. I mean, the bot lane kind of an equal state right now between the two. Jinx does have a pretty big CS advantage though, so credit to Jerome, Jersum, sorry, Jersum to be able to stick that for himself. To be a bit careful, but it feels like they're keeping Oliver controlled.
Yeah. And I think that the Vagar Seraphine lane has been a little bit
Oh, they're going in.
underwhelming. Good hook there from Nautilus, but now it's
It's a
going to be
flash.
the fight in the top lane. Bobby Rob level 6 going to go into the heals, but now Ryuji is here as well with the flag and drag. Bobby Rob picking up the
Oh,
kill. Oliver tagged with the zapper, but that's not going to be quite enough damage. Now Ryuji may be looking for a balls here on the scrubs.
oh,
I'm going over the wall, just gonna try to steal some of the camp away, but the Balls wants to fight for it. Going in for some auto attack, some crystal slashes, and he has nothing that he can do about it, and that means that the counter jungling from Ryuji going to pick him up a kill and a camp.
yeah, the crud going over to the Jarvan is pretty huge, but well, the chase is happening there. But looks like Ryuji will just manage to make it out of there. Meanwhile, look at all these plates going down and all this farm that's being lost by Veigar right now. He's gonna be put very far behind, and Jinx is gonna be very far ahead. And when you're fighting against a mage, this is basically the best case scenario for Jersum, honestly. Uh,
Yeah, Oliver
at the
trying to
minion
go
and the
in
fighting.
before
Oh, the
actually
minion,
hooked the minion. So
the
fortunate
minion.
there for Oliver. If that minion hadn't been there, he may have been very dead, I believe, with the hook landing. Now, now we got some
He,
trading in mid lane, but Ryuji's here. We gotta watch out. Now it's going to be a fate sealed for the escape.
Yeah, okay, so action in the mid lane, action in the bot lane, action in the top lane. What more could we ask for in a series like this, Tiger, right? With the
Yeah,
way things are going right now. And I mean the lead is still in the favor of Air Esports Revival, but definitely not insurmountable by any means. There's still a possibility of the side of Nameless Empire on winning out on the skirmishes, which is definitely their strong point. Now that Skarner is almost level 6, they need to be able to make a play with his ultimate, with that suppression, in order to make it
ooh,
worth it.
Oliver looking for
Otherwise,
Ryuji here.
yeah, it
Now
looks
it's
like a
going
fight
to
might break. Yeah,
just
here we
be
go,
some.
level 6. Yeah, level 6 for the Skarner right now. So definitely at this point, the side of Air Esports Survival have to play a bit more conservatively. They can't be caught out. Otherwise, if Skarner does get the kill, that could be their way. That could be the way for the enemy team to get back into this. So Air
Yeah,
Esports have to watch out, but they should be able to get the first dragon.
yep. They've got the prio bot lane roaming there. Should be pretty free. Uh, Yeah, hook
Oh
from
no.
Core actually onto Farok. Farok could be in trouble. The Flame Choppers force the flash away, but that means that it's going to be the Drake secured by Air Esports.
Yeah, meanwhile, they at least get better for themselves in the mid lane, but here comes Nautilus coming in for the gank. Bobby Rob.
Yeah, more trading in the top lane. These top laners enjoy whacking each other a little bit.
I mean,
It's going to
it's a Mundo and a Volibear. That's all they have to do, right?
And to answer your question from earlier about what more you could ask, I think that I might need to ask for a pronunciation guide on the mid laner for Nameless Empire. I think that I've pronounced that about 4 different ways already today. So now we're
Was
going
it
to have some
Leahy?
fighting breaking out. The
Oh yeah.
Cataclysm dropped into the Impale. Leahy is here. Now Teleport's coming in onto the flag. But that just means that
Oh
it's
wait.
an escape coming through. Oliver could be in trouble. Jersum going to pick up the kill. Good engage there from Core, and that's going to be a kill in the bot lane. Leahy may be in trouble as well. Fate Sealed going to be used once again defensively. It's unfortunate when you keep seeing your ultimate blown defensively on Yone.
Yep, definitely. And we saw the interaction. I was gonna point out the interaction in the jungle between Jarvan and Skarner. Skarner used his ultimate onto Jarvan, and couldn't go anywhere because he was stuck in the cataclysm. That's what I mean when you're kind of a victim to not being able to get you're kind of a victim of being an old League of Legends champion and not being able to dash out of out of that
Yeah,
cataclysm. So
you gotta invest in an item with the dash. I don't know if that'll get you over the wall though, which is
Gale Force
unfortunate.
Skarner, the new dark
Gale Force
technology to be
Skarner,
able to
let's
get
go,
out.
new meta. Rocket belt. Give him the
AP Skarner. That's what we need to see. All right, he
yeah.
doesn't have his ultimate's almost. The MPL is almost back up. They probably are gonna wait for this, but is Bob the right target? Is Bobby Rob the right target? I just called him Bob. Should we just call him Bob?
Here comes a hex flash from a balls.
Oh,
Balls.
they're
It's
going in.
going to be stun into the stun from Garner. That means that it's going to be the passive broken. Bobby Rob, no flash available now. Now it's going to be
No
a
way.
few more
No
auto
way.
attacks.
No
Will they be
way.
able to get it? Nabrizi
Okay.
picking up the shutdown gold. Shields on his way out, and that's a clean dive in the top lane for Nameless Empire.
Clean as you can get with Volley Bear and a Skarner. Two very tanky boys able to easily take the tower for themselves, and is
Well,
pretty
here
easy
comes
for
the
them.
roam in mid lane.
Yeah.
Here's the stolen encore. Now it's going to be a rocket coming through from Jinx, but that's not going to be quite enough to take out Farok. And the health bars are low, but no one dies in the mid lane.
Yeah, we have seen a lot of action happening in the mid lane, and it's just the priority they have that allows Core to be able to just keep roaming here. They should get a decent advantage up there, and I don't think Dursum is too scared of the Veigar at this point. Still gonna
Yeah.
take a while for him to be really relevant as a champion right now. And usually, if you pick a mage in the bot lane, you definitely want to take an advantage over the ADC. That's why you try to pick a mage to be able to win lane. Unfortunately, for Oliver and Furok, they weren't able to do that. And Jersum, he's just living life right now. 40 CS up. This is an amazing position for Jinx to be in.
Yeah. And one thing I'm looking at here is the effectiveness of the Seraphine pick so far. I mean, like you're saying, when you pick the mage, you want to be winning lane, but I don't know if Seraphine's going to lend herself to a winning lane very often against the
Gonna take
Nautilus.
anchor soon.
Well, here comes
Hex
the
flash.
Hex Flash. It's a double
Uh,
event horizon landing, and now Core could be in trouble going to go into the Stosh, and then Impale used on Jersum to keep the gank alive. Oliver going to pick up the first kill of the fight. Core now on the way out, going to try to stay alive for a bit longer. Double stun coming through, and that's going to be the end of the engagement. 1-0 in favor of Nameless Empire.
That was exactly what Nameless Empire needed to do as well. The fact that they were able to get the Hex Splash, immediate ambush onto the bot lane that was getting very, very out of control is huge for their own bot lane. Veigar is able to get the kill as well, so a bit of an acceleration for his at least his first item there. And just really well played by Bubbles in Bubbles in general. Well, what more can you ask for this Skarner? But he needs to keep doing that. He needs to keep making picks like that again and again.
Yeah. And the top laners are at it once again. Health
Breeze
bars
is not
dropping
liking it
around
now.
400
They're-
HP. No death coming right in the current moment, but we
I
always
think
got to
Bobby
keep
Rob
an eye
can
on
just
that.
go for this.
Land. Now a ball's looking for economical. Now it's going to be turned around. Ryuji puts him in the cataclysm, and economical picks up the kill.
Was that planned? That was so good. That was so well coordinated from Jersum and Ryuji and economical. Wow, I'm absolutely impressed, blown away by that play. I hope that was on purpose because that looked absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah, Nabrizi dropping low once again, but I think that the thing that's going to fall right now is the Drake. That's the first two going over to Air Esports. We'll see if they can continue stacking the Drakes. They've gotten 2 under 14 minutes. 24 minutes. Soul is on the table now. It's a pretty good win condition to look for them.
Yeah, definitely. Economical, he's a bit behind in levels right now, but the thing
Yeah,
about
level
him,
2 late. They're going to miss, actually, but the Ignite taking down, still trying to find some trades. In the meantime, the
oh,
top tower, Ball's looking to go forward. Teleport coming in. That's going to break into a 4v3 right here for Rock. Going to be dropped to half health. Now it's going to be Nabrizi looking
oh,
for some kills. It's going to be a flag and drag onto 3. Oliver picking up the first kill of the fight. It's a 2-for-1 so far. Now Leahy trying to 1v1 economical, but he's going to be impaled with the stolen impale. Now it's going to be a charm coming through from Farak, landing onto both remaining members. Economical trying to finish him off. Now it's going to be a chain lash for a double kill for economical. Now this one could be turned around. Oliver going to lay down the event horizon to try to end the fight, and that will be the disengage. I think it's a 3-for-3.
Yeah, that was a 3-for-3. I thought I would end up going Nameless Esports way because they were able to get on top of Jersum immediately, who got caught by the impale of the Skarner and immediately got deleted before he could do any real relevant damage to the fight. But well, instead it was Bobby Rob with the teleport actually saving that fight for the side of Air Esports Revival, able to come out on top, or not come out top, at least make it even because they were in a dire situation otherwise.
Yeah, I think that both of the teleports in that fight were good. I mean, Bobby
Yeah,
Rob
true,
showing
true.
up on the end and causing it to go back to even. But Nabrizi's teleport right at the beginning onto the Warden, the Dragon Pit, that was what set everything up. I mean, that divided the entire team of Air Esports to make it so that they can kind of divide and conquer on the side of Nameless Empire. And that's what they were doing right at the beginning of the fight. And it was working out until they kind of had it turned around with a similar principle going the other way.
Yep, definitely. Now, the only problem for them is that, well, this time Skarner's not gonna have his flash up, for a quick ultimate onto the quick impale onto Jinx in the near future when the next dragon shows up, which could end up being detrimental for them because when it comes to these fights, these kinds of things, it's gonna be the summoner spells that might end up winning the day for either side. On the other hand, Jinx's flash is almost gonna be up. She played that fight without flash. Once she has flash, I think it would be a different story.
Yeah, and looking right now, it looks like the Rift Herald is being taken down as we speak. Air Esports, so this might be caught out. It's not going to be in range of the I don't know what Vagar's W is called, but that ability.
You
But
can just
anyways,
roam. You can
taken
just
down.
roam in and find out. It's called dark matter.
Yeah. All right. Well, now we've got a 3v3, a Cataclysm onto a Balls, but a Balls in the front line going for the Impale. It's a 3-man encore coming through from
Eh,
Farak. Ryuji still lands
oh,
the flag and drag. Now the Event Horizon trying to do some work. It's the stolen charm coming through. A triple kill going over to Ryuji, and everything comes up Air Esports way.
wow, that was a really well played fight for them. Unlike their opponents, they had the teleport up, so it was an outnumbered fight for the side of Air Esports Survival, and they're able to easily win with the numbers game. Ruji picking up the kill is not ideal. You'd rather have Jersum, of course, have it as the Jinx, but definitely we'll be happy with that all in all, and they will be might be able to even get another charge. Meanwhile, in the top lane, Bobby Rob was just chilling. He was just straight chilling up in top lane, able to get more resource for himself, get more fed, get farther ahead on this Dr. Mundo pick. And despite the team fight going even, in the end, it's Air Esports Survival with all the map control that they could want because they're just getting every objective on the map right now. In 30 seconds, the dragon is going to be up there as well.
And the gold lead is beginning to add up in favor of Air Esports. They've got about 7,000 right now. And if we take a look at the individual gold right now, it's 2,000 advantage in top for Bobby Rob. And then we've got in jungle is 1,300. Mid, it's pretty close. And then bot lane is another 2,000 in favor of Jersum. So pretty leads coming through on multiple roles on the side of Air Esports right now. We'll
Yeah.
see if they are able to find fights and take advantage of having this lead while they do have it.
Yeah, right now jungler top and ADC just leading for the side of Air Esports, and that's basically fine with that. I mean, ideally you'd have economical also be kind of ahead on the Sylas snowballing, but right now it's not really needed. He can honestly just be run interference for the Jinx or go over to the backline and be act as more of an assassin to take down Oliver and Furuk. So we'll see how well he does. But it looks like the next dragon. This is gonna be this is gonna be Mountain Drake over to the side of Air Sports. Okay.
And
Uh,
economical finding the
yeah.
solo kill onto Oliver. Now Balls has the impale though. It's going to be a follow-up stun from Farak, but it's a bit too early, and now the re-engage comes through. The shutdown does go over to a Balls, so it's a trade of kills in the top lane, but plus Mountain Drake for the side of Air Esports, and they're on Soul Point now.
Yeah, and there's no one defending the mid lane. They're top. They see the fact that Volibear is coming to go to a flank for them. Oh, wait, the
Oh, good
stuns.
hook, and it's going to be the kill going over to Ryuji once again. Now
This is a
Nabrizi going to try to
disaster.
pick up the kill, but he's 1v4. That's no way to live. Jerson picking up a second, and this is the push into the base for the side of Air Esports. Now it's going to be an event horizon by Oliver to try to keep the enemy team at bay. But that is the tower going down in the mid lane.
Nameless just played right into Aerosport's hand right there. They thought they were going for a flank, but that was a calm ambulance, but not for me moment for the Jink because they were able to just turn it around. And why not? Because they outnumbered the enemy team. They're just playing the numbers game so much better. They realized that their opponents were spread thin, right? There were two people on the top lane. Two people on the top lane. They saw that Volibear was coming in alone, and they were just able to deal with him and the Yone back to back, and it was not really a problem. I don't think Jinx was ever really in threat. So really well played by Air Esports Revival. So far they're playing this game super well. They're so far ahead right now. 6,000 gold. Not completely insurmountable, but it's getting harder and harder to find the picks that you need because once the objectives in play, you're gonna have to be team fighting. You're gonna have to be going for these 5v5s, and it's not in your favor when you do that. You're dependent on getting on top of Jinx. Now, the fact that Jinx doesn't have her flash is the biggest opportunity they have at the moment.
Yeah, and I think that having that impale available for a balls in addition to the flash, that means that there is a chance, and the pick possibility is pretty decent. Economical now going to find
Oh,
Farak on the backline, but it's an
don't it?
event horizon finding a stun. Now it's going to be a CC chain coming through. Good shield from Farak going to keep them at full health, but now it's going to
Oh,
be a good cataclysm on the back end. Ryuji trying to take a kill out. Economical going to 1v1 with the balls. Farak now going to be having to get back to the fountain with sort of health bar. Oliver once again trying to find event horizon, trying to find the stuns, but he just hasn't got the damage to finish off these kills. And this means that it's going to be the inhib going down, and Leahy may be in trouble here as well. Ryuji trying to find another kill. Good use of the E to disengage from Leahy, but now it's going to be economical in trouble here. Nabrizi going to set up the kill, and it's going to be Leahy picking it up, but now it's a double knockup with the flag and drag into a double kill for
oh.
Jerson. This is started out well for Nameless Empire, but once again, it's being cleaned up by Air Esports. They've got their four-man group. They're pinging towards the Baron. We'll see if they're able to pick up the big worm on the map and get themselves the opportunity to siege the base.
I mean, again, it was basically Lehe and the Breezy trying to go for a 4v5. It's out. They're outnumbered. Sure, they did get the kill into economical, but it just frees them our enemy team up to go for the Baron right now. Balls is here. He does have his Hex Splash, so there's still a possibility for a steal, but it's a kind of a desperate play. If he's able to get this, it would be an absolute miracle. Oh wait, the
Economic
teleport.
with an aggressive teleport going to be impaled right at the beginning of the fight. Oliver going to pick up the kill, drop to about 100 HP, but the Baron goes down as well. So enough space bought to pick up the Baron, but that is trade of kill.
I think that's worth honestly for economical to give his life to make sure that the jungler does not even get in position for your chance for a steal. Because getting a Baron buff is one of the only ways that the side of Nameless Esports can Nameless Empire rather can get back into the game. Right, if they're able to have the Baron, they can start stalling things out. Especially since, as you said, the wave clear isn't that good for the side of Air Esports Revival. So definitely worthy investment for economical. I guess he's living up to his name.
Yeah, and with the Drake coming up in about 30 seconds, there's going to be either some way that Nameless Empire can get themselves out of their base to contest, or they're just giving over. So it looks like Leahy wants to go for the pick onto Jerson, but it's a good hook from Core. Now Fate Sealed going to try to get onto the back line, but Ryuji's too tanky, and Jerson picking up the kill, going on a rampage. Now a Balls is going to be targeted here by Bobby Rob. Not going to have enough speed to follow up on that, but it's going to be very difficult to contest this Drake. And it looks like Soul maybe going over here for free to the side of Air Esports Revival.
Yeah.
Still Hex Flash coming from a Balls Ball is going to try to find his way onto Jersum, but the smite is not enough. Core's in the area. The hook goes wide, but a Balls has to back off. Jersum putting in the auto attacks. Got the rockets coming down, and Ballswell's maybe in trouble here. He has the impale onto Core, but the Cataclysm comes down, and Jersum goes unstoppable. What can't you do on this Jinx? Jersum going to find the way to get kills left and right in this fight, and it's going to be once again set up by a good Cataclysm from Ryuji. Now this may be the last ditch effort from the side of Nameless Empire to keep themselves alive in this game.
Oh,
They still
wow.
have the encore available from Farok. The one that we just saw was the stolen one from Economical, but they're going to have to face 2 waves of baroned up minions, including one with a super minion coming in. The first tower's under fire. The charm comes through. It only lands onto 2. Now it's going to be back into the fountain, trying to keep themselves alive. Ryuji picking up the first kill of the fight, and this first tower falls as well. The damage is too much. It's 3 kills coming through. One shutdown does go over to a Balls, but it's too little, too late. It's 4v2 on the map. The last tower falls, and the Nexus is under fire. Oliver going to try to put it down some damage just to get a little bit of space, but the Nexus is going to be the next thing in trouble. A Balls taken out with his own impale, and the Nexus goes down as the first game goes to Air Esports Revival.
That was a really well played game from Air Esports Survival, and honestly, it was a bit of a comp diff, right? The fact that they had the better comp, they had a comp with a clear identity, meant that they could easily just play to the plan and be able to win out on the team fights that came up. And well, honestly, for the side of Nameless Empire, the composition that they decided to pull together, it's either it's either you get ahead or you get picks. And unfortunately, they weren't really able to do neither, except for one onto Jinx in the early game. But after that, as the game goes later and later, it's just gonna be just gonna be Air Revival Esports choking them out of the map and out of the game, and that's exactly what happened. So really well played from them, and hoping to see some improvements regarding comp, because this one did not work out.
Yeah, well, I certainly can agree that it didn't work out, and I may be able to see a little something in there, but it would be a much different style than what we saw from Nameless Empire this game. So I agree that based on how they're playing, they should change up their draft for the next game.
We're going to break, right? Just gonna say,
Yeah,
but yeah.
yeah,
All
we're
right, we're gonna
going to
get
break.
to big. We're gonna go to a quick break, guys. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with game 2.
Welcome back, everyone. It's time for the draft of game number 2. Nameless Empire switching over to the blue side. So we'll see if that's going to make the difference and if they're going to change up their draft strategy a little bit now that they're changing the sides.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, nameless draft. The Vagar and the Seraphine pick didn't really work out in the bot lane, and I have to say it was Gearsome and Core really made out like a bandit for themselves in that laning phase where Jinx is able to get a 40 CS lead. And at that point, it's very hard to come back, especially if you're a Vagar who kind of wants to keep even or even be ahead in the matchup to be relevant in the rest of the game. Otherwise, you're gonna be stuck falling super far behind. And as we saw, Vagar was just tickling Jinx at the when it came to the inhibitors breaking. So hopefully we can see some adjustments coming from them. The bans are coming in, but it looks like there's nothing too much different.
Yeah, and it could be that the last ban changes up. Or we'll see if it's the Leona once again from Nameless Empire, if they think that potentially that's what they want to go for towards as a first pick. The Diane ban is a little bit different, so perhaps picking a more aggressive support would help the laning phase go a little bit more even.
Yep, definitely. I mean, either go for aggressive support or at least a better enchanter. Because Karma's still available. Karma was still up. I think Karma's a much better enchanter than Seraphine at the moment, at least as support. If you're gonna play Seraphine, I'd rather have her in the mid lane or as a bot laner. Straight up. I'd rather not. I'd rather she takes resources for herself. Otherwise, there's not much she can do when the rest of her team is just so far behind. Honestly, so we'll see what they decide to go for, and it's gonna be a different look because they immediately first picked the Leona. So there we go, Tiger. Just as you said, we have a change of plan.
Well, that is the Air Esports Revival support pick going on to the Leona.
Oh wait,
So,
they switched side. My bad.
well, it
Okay,
is the
never
Jar
mind.
as the jungler for Nameless Empire, so going to be a little different look than the Skarner, and it's up against the Lee Sin, so we'll see the mechanical prowess of Ryuji here potentially. We'll see if the Lee Sin kicks him in through clutch, and comboing that with the Leona, I think that that's a really solid engage. So it's different champions for Air Esports Revival, but a similar sort of
Hmm.
idea.
Janna. Okay, that being picked, I like it. As a counter pick to Leona, can definitely screw over that pick really well. Could have gone for the Braum also, but well, they decided to go for the Janna. Interesting pick. We'll see what ADC they decide to pair it with. I would like to see them go with the hyper carry this time instead of the Vagar pick. Something like they could go for the Jinx themselves. They can go for Tristana. They can go for a Kog'Maw. Anything that will anything that will work. Akshan, hold up a minute there. Hold
Yeah,
up.
I
Is
was
this the first time we're seeing Akshan on Runeterra?
I think that we saw it a couple weeks ago.
It's the first time I'm
And
casting it, so this will be very interesting to see. His values as a laner or as a champion are very low, so he kind of has to be able to get ahead to be able to pull off all the nonsense that you see in the solo queue highlight reel. So we'll see how well they're gonna be able to play this. I'm assuming this is gonna go towards the mid lane. I don't think bot lane action is where it's at. I think they'd be better off getting their better ADC for that.
yeah, especially against the Leona, I don't think Sean is where you want to go. Uh, when you talk about these base values being low for Akshan, that's like the exact opposite of a Leona who has such high base stats.
That is
Like,
true. That is true.
and I like the Tristana pickup actually for Air Esports Revival. That's kind of a flex pick between mid and bot. Could
Mm-hmm.
even
Mm-hmm.
be top. I mean, I haven't seen top Trist actually in a long time, but I don't see why it's not viable anymore. So maybe there's something that I've
It's
missed.
viable
But
if you want to ruin your opponent's top laner's day.
yeah, yeah, range
That's
top
what it's
lane.
about.
Maybe everyone entered a gentleman's agreement where you're just a douchebag if you pick a ranged top. So no one plays Trist top anymore
I
because they
mean,
don't want to play against Trist
to
top.
to be fair, there are problems if Tristana gets a. Tristana's very vulnerable in the top lane, especially since it's a longer lane, so she can't really easily get back to tower if she gets caught out. Unlike in mid lane, it's such a short lane. If you get caught out, you just W rocket jump back to your tower and Cho'Gath. Interesting stuff might get picked up. Looking at the bans that we got here, all the top laners being banned. So both teams really targeting each other's top lane right now. Urgot being taken away. There's one of the ranged top laners that you don't really want to go up against, along with the Mordekaiser. Shen being taken away too means that, well, Shen one of the in competitive, Shen is one of the best top laners you can get when he is strong, because of the amount of plays that you can make with him and the amount of saves that you can make with him. Trundle being picked up, that's gonna be interesting. If this is Trundle top lane, I do value Trundle jungle a lot more because he can easily cut off choke points to allow him to get to objectives more easily. But this is gonna be Akshan mid, bot lane.
Well, it could be Victor bot. I
Oh
mean,
yeah, it could be.
based on how Nameless Empire has been drafting their bot lanes, I certainly wouldn't be surprised to see the Victor go. So we'll see
Whoa.
which one it's going to be. And as far as the Trundle goes, I think that may just be an answer to the Cho'Gath. I think that's a solid choice as a counter pick because you're going to
Yeah,
get
that's
a
fair.
solid amount of value out of Subjugate. But we'll see if that's going to be the case.
That's fair. That's fair. Also, Leona's there. If she uses her W, she uses her Eclipse immediately, you can just subjugate that as well and get super tanky. We'll see how well it goes between these two teams. Pantheon being picked up as the last counter pick. I think if that is Akshan mid, he's gonna have a lot of problems fighting against Pantheon.
Yeah, and if it's bot, then he's gonna have problems fighting against Leona Trist. So I don't think that there's really any option where the Akshan will feel all that great. But it's just a matter of which matchups are going to be better in general for Nameless Empires. I think that they may want to get this Victor in combo with the to try to contest the Leona Stana. And I think that that's got enough disengage that they can try to put that as like a scaling lane. And then like Akshan versus Pantheon would suck, but if it's Oxon Jarvan versus Pantheon Lee Sin, maybe there's a chance that fight goes well. So maybe
Yeah.
a lot of mid lane focus here coming in for the Jarvan. Uh, a balls last game on the Skarner was able to find some pretty decent picks, but was paling in comparison to Ryuji with the good flag and drags into Cataclysms. So now we'll see who actually has the better Jarvan out of the two.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Ryuji still has the places he can make on the Lee Sin, especially because, Lee Sin is one of those junglers that never really falls out of meta. The exception was last year when it became a super heavy farming meta where Lee Sin just couldn't keep up. And even then, some junglers even still favored Lee Sin just because of how well he can gank, how well he can control the early game. So we'll see how well Ryuji is able to do it. And he has economical on the Pantheon. Lee Sin Pantheon sounds like an extremely oppressive duo to fight against. It looks like it will be Akshan in the bot lane. So Oliver gonna be playing that pick and have a bit of a hard time, especially if you have a Pantheon and a Lee Sin just diving you under tower.
Yeah, and that's a good point. That economical picking up this Pantheon means that Air Esports Revival is going to have a lot of ability to send 3 or 4 people into a lane. You can just roam with the Pantheon pretty easily. And it's not very easy at all for Leahy to follow on this Victor. So we'll see if there ends up being some fights in the side lanes going on, or what it's going to look like here. That means that for the side of Nameless Empire, they're going to have to play, especially their bot lane, a little more safely, because with a Leona into a Pantheon and Lee Sin, that's just a lot to have to deal with. So
Yeah.
I think that if they play back, then they're going to scale pretty well. Akshan does pretty decently into the late game,
Mm-hmm.
and especially if you can start getting revives through, then that's going to have a lot of impact on the game. But it's going to be at the cost of the early game being really hard to go through.
Yeah, I mean, Janna, she can peel, but there's only so much this pick can do when it's 4 people diving the bot lane. Akshan has to immediately get out of there, otherwise he's in a lot of trouble, especially with his low damage in the early game. He kind of really wants to be able to outmaneuver the opponent, outplay the opponent, snowball off of that, and continue to get leads for himself. And we'll see if he's gonna be able to do it. I'm curious about this pick and how well Oliver will do it, regardless. Even though I would say Air Revival Esports are gonna walk away with the dub in this game and the series.
All right. Well, we're gonna have a break, and on the other side, we'll have game number 2 of Nameless Empire versus Air Esports Revival. Welcome back, everyone. It's time for game number two. We're getting on to the Rift. This time it's Nameless Empire on the blue side and Air Esports Revival on the red side. We'll see if there's going to be any early shenanigans this time. Last time we had a little bit of an invade, but I don't think that we're seeing much going on here.
Yep. I mean, looks like just a 5 point so far between both teams, trying to make sure no one's up to any funny business. And there we go. Cho'Gath just tried to just tried to rupture his mid laner. Not gonna work out. There's no friendly fire in league, my friend. Bobby Rob not getting away with that one.
Just trying to give him a rocket ship ride, man. I mean, sometimes you just gotta enjoy yourself a little bit.
Sometimes you gotta do a little trolling for your mid laner right there. Okay, we'll see how economical does in this lane. I think he should do fairly well. Of course, he will get outscaled by Leahy later into the game, but if he's able to at least manage to wipe the minions and roam, I think he'll be able to find a lot of success on this pick. So we'll see if this Pantheon is able to get off the ground running, or well, if he's just gonna get stuck under turret.
Yeah, and an interesting point here is that a balls didn't take flash, instead opting for ignite smite on the jar.
Whoa. Is this
Uh,
Assassin Jarvan? Is he going for lethality Jarvan? Because that would be absolutely a Chad move if he did. I don't really approve of it in competitive, but hell yeah, if he decides to do it.
yeah. Well, we'll see what the build is as the game continues, but I think that a little bit better of a comp this time around than last time, potentially for the
Mm,
side Nameless Empire. And I still think that there are some weaknesses to it, but with the Trundle and Jarvan, I think that they've got a lot more engage capability, and I think that's always an important thing to have in any comp.
yeah, definitely. I mean, unless you're a poke comp, right, then you'd want disengage. But definitely engage is very important to get things going for your side. The only thing I don't really approve of is the Akshan ADC. I'd rather have him in a solo lane like in top or mid. At least able to get levels, and start roaming around because that's the strength of Akshan, his mobility to get around the map and start making plays. In the bot lane, he's kind of stuck having to farm around, and there's some on this Shisana. Eventually, we'll start to outscale him in that regard. Economical going for trade. Yes, a conqueror. You're going in.
Taking down first blood, going over to economical. Good gank coming through from Ryuji.
Yeah, and a bit of a misstep coming from Lahey on that mid lane, not respecting the fact that, at the time we're at, once it's 3 minutes, the laners definitely have to be wary about the enemy jungler, especially if they have intelligence where they started from. The fact that, if you're a bit safe if you know where the jungler is starting, and it's in your side, so at 3 minutes, the jungler is going to be on the other side of the map. However, if you are in the mid lane, you have to be very careful about those kinds of timings. So, really good stuff from Ryuji and economical for punishing the positioning of that Victor. So hey, getting back into lane, stumbling quite a bit, and that's the first step for economical to get started, get going. Okay,
Economical
wait.
got now the gravity field finding the stun of Balls looking for the flag and drag.
Oh,
Economical dropping pretty low, has just a sliver of
boy.
HP, not going to survive, but Ryuji is not so lucky, appears late and tries to fight off the 1v2, but it goes in favor of a Balls 1-for-1.
Yeah. Okay. So a bit of more mispositioning there from economical. This time he's the one who didn't really respect the enemy jungler, but his jungler had to pay the price for it. And right now, well, a boss ball is ahead in the CS department. And he's already trying to go for a steal onto the blue buff. So this will put the Lee Sin even farther behind. It's definitely not something you want to see. Plus, the wave is pushing in towards the red side. So this is absolutely fantastic timing for a balls to get the invade in because Oliver and Furok are right there as the backup. And he's able to get away with that, get farther ahead. And suddenly things don't look so good anymore for Ryuji on this Lee Sin.
Yeah, we've still got a pretty close game here at the very beginning, even on the gold so far. But Ryuji a little bit behind on the pathing, so any sort of fight going on could be trouble. Bobby Rob may
Oh,
be in trouble here. Nabrizi trying to win a 1v1. Goes for the chomp, flashes over the rupture, and secures the solo kill in the top. Meanwhile, Leahy could be trouble here in the mid lane. Dropping one more auto attack's going to land, and Economical going to counter in the mid lane with another kill.
that was a bit messy in the mid lane. I don't think the combo had it right, but wait, what's going on? Looks like we do have a pause, guys. 1 second. as we try to sort out the issue here. Not sure what's happening. All right, the game will be will be resuming. So just a short interlude, guys. But yeah, that was a really good play coming in from Ryuji and Economical again, winning out on that gank in the mid lane. So good stuff coming from the Lee Sin and the Pantheon. Once he starts getting ahead, he's going to be very hard to deal with. So look out for Economical once he starts roaming.
Yeah, just needed a little bit of a bathroom break there. Get the hall pass, make sure to get back before the class ends. And we got the little bit of the freeze the spectator bug, but
All right, I'm just going to make sure with our producer that we're still on time. We're at 41, 42, 43, 44.
I'm right
I
on
think
track with the producer. Miles
I'm
is a
one
little.
second behind. I'm 1 second behind, which is a bit unfortunate, but
Well, as that goes, it is the case that you are the color, so
it's fine. I'm the
hopefully
color. It's fine.
too much trouble with that. But
Yeah, I'm gonna try
whatever
this.
it is, Cloud is the first Drake of the game here, so we'll see who's going to go towards that. Last game, it was Esports looking towards most of the Drakes, able to secure the Mountain Soul and win the game off of that. So that was a good strategy that they were able to pull off. But then we'll see if Nameless Empire this time around wants to focus more towards the bot side. Actually, an engage coming through from core, but a good tornado going to avoid any further follow up.
42, 43. Wait, I can't talk right now.
Economically here with the Rome, Farrak going to be in trouble, going to fall to the dive from Economical. Core going to be able to survive on the back end of it. So already level 6 on the Pantheon. The Grand Starfall turns into a kill.
Yep, that's a good stuff. That's the economical that we wanted to see from the right now. Bobby Rob immediately flashed out of there. He's in a lot of trouble if he just keeps getting auto attack. There's no real way to fight back at the moment, and he's going for the AP Cho'Gath build. Wait, this is not a tank Cho'Gath. So Trundle got a bit got a bit baited there with the pick. He's not gonna be super tanky, and the subjugate won't be worth much against him.
Yeah, and that makes sense as he's the only magic damage on the team, but maybe looking for a steal here. No, not going to be able to do it. It's just a tornado over the wall, which doesn't connect. Now Court going to be looked for by Leahy, but he's going to be a bit late. Jerson going to be tagged with the Zephyr, and Varrock trying to continue to follow up. Balls with the flag and drag, not going to be able to quite reach in time. Now it's going to be the top laners fighting it out once again. Just Breezy taking a little bit of a chunk out of the turret, though, so not going to be
Yep,
any kills coming through.
Yep, at least able to get a plate for himself. A bit of trading,
Here
and I
comes the
keep
Rome
getting
from
hit.
Varrock.
I keep getting hit by the pause. Could I rematch with the producer again? 13, 14.
Ryuji going to be in trouble here.
Wait up a
Ignite
bit.
taking down. The ball is going to be forced to end the cataclysm as Core showed up.
All right,
Jerson
we're
going to
in.
come
We're
as
in.
well.
All right. Thank you so much, Mookie.
It's the stun coming through an
Ooh,
economical going on a rampage.
that's really good stuff. Going for the snipe on to the jungler who went a bit too far into his own jungle without any backup. So, unfortunate for a boss right there. Luckily, there's no real objective right now except for the Rift Herald up there in the top lane. But Lee Sin's nowhere near that. Ryuji is still coming back from base. So, he did die. His timing is going to be a bit off, but it's not too bad of a loss. It's not too bad of a death, rather. The kill
Yeah,
did go over to the Pantheon, though. So, that's a.
yeah, unfortunate for him though because Ryuji was very low. Tried to go for the 1v1 between junglers, but then Ryuji's team showed up, and then it ended up being not so great for a balls.
There's no such thing as an honorable duel in League of Legends at this point, unless you go for a 1v1 in Howling Abyss. But yeah, unfortunate for the side of Balls. Thought he was pretty far ahead, and he is at least one half an item up. He does have the Phage compared to Lee Sin's item, but Lee Sin's a pretty tanky boy, and he can really stall out with the fact that he has a lot of vamp, a lot of lifesteal, and okay, wait.
Breezy wants it all. Bobby Rob dropping pretty low here, but Ryuji has showed up just in time. Always good to have the jungler there to support you, and the feast will finish the deal. Bobby Rob picking up the kill in the top lane.
How many stacks does he have on this Cho'Gath right now? Actually, I want to know. Just 2 stacks so far, and that's definitely gonna help him out and get stronger and stronger on this pick. A Cho'Gath
Yeah,
that's really big will be a big problem for that to deal with, especially since he's going for the AP build. So he's gonna be pretty tanky by itself because of health, but the armor is not gonna be there. Oh wait, they're going for it.
ooh, going to be a little bit of an engage coming through, but economical picking up the kill. Good solar flare from Core, locking down a balls, but now it's going to be a 1v1 in the bot lane. Farok going to show up to try to tilt the scales. Jersum going to be targeted up, going to be hit by the damage, but the tower tanking up the shots will keep Jersum alive.
That was a attempt at a cross map play, realizing that the support is not there to help Jersum, but he's able to make it out there because he has flash. Akshan ultimate does hit what is in front of him, just like the Caitlyn is in the hole. So he's not gonna be getting the kill on to Jersum anytime soon. Very lucky for the ADC there, but yeah. So far, a net positive in favor again for the side of Air Revival. This Pantheon is just getting stronger and stronger. Already he has this Eclipse finished. And Jarvan tried to take that fight. He had no armor.
We've seen fighting again and again in the top lane, so definitely makes sense for junglers to be nearby. Farok could be in trouble. Good use of the tornado going to avoid the second phase of the queue. Good Dragon's Rage from Ryuji to knock a balls out, but the Flag and Dread comes in on the back end, going to finish off the kill. Now it's going to be Bobby Rob in trouble here. Has the Everfrost on the teleport in, but Farok ends it with the tornado. That's 2 for 0 in favor of Nameless Empire.
I'm sorry, but Luigi, I have no idea what he was thinking at that moment. He decided to go in on the support, and I, that's Fog of War territory. He has no idea. He committed the same mistake a Boss did, except it's worse because he baited his top laner into getting killed like that. So suddenly, Trundle has some free time here in this top lane, and he's gonna be able to take a few more plates for himself.
Yeah, and I think that the Trundle may be the win condition right now for the side of Nameless Empire. Nabrizi off to a pretty good start here. Jersum has the rocket jump, so going to be able to get out just fine.
Yeah, look at this. Imagine if they lose the tower over that play. That would really hurt if you're a revival, honestly. So Ryuji has to play a bit more carefully. Looks
Yeah,
like they're just gonna
Nabrizi
get the tower.
is tanking up tower shots. Bobby
Oh
Rob
my
going to
gosh.
go out from Nabrizi, trying to stay alive for the moment. But it looks like he will be able to get out. We'll see if anyone's going to walk up that direction. But a clean escape after taking the first brick by Nabrizi.
Yeah, that was really good from him. Able to get the first third for himself. That's a lot of gold going towards the Trundle's way. His Divine Sunder is completed now, but they will have to give up an objective in front of it. Wait, never mind. They're not giving it up.
3v3 in the bot side. It's going to be a balls trying to flag dragon in the back line. Has an explosive shot strapped to his head. Jersum going to pick up the kill. Now it's going to be the re-engage, the double Q coming from Ryuji. And now it's going to be Nabrizi with the teleport in. Grand Starfall coming into the back line, but Jersum's in trouble. The 1v3 going towards Nabrizi. Nabrizi's winning this one. Ryuji going to be close to falling as well. Now he's going to ward hop away and try to get this one out, but Economical is on the wrong side of the map. He could be turned on here. He's on a control ward between 4 members. The Zephyr goes for the slow. Nabrizi looking for the pillar, but it's going to be turned around. Trying to finish off the support. Economical is still in trouble though. Under fire. It's only a moment of time. Nabrizi going to drop very low, but survives and gets the shutdown. Good fight coming through for Nameless Empire.
Yeah, Nameless Empire win out in that in the end. They just had the numbers advantage. Their top laner did not have teleport. He was late into the lane. He at least able to get the turret for themselves, but that's really got a sting if you're the side of air. If you're air revival, honestly, it felt like that sequence felt like a group of dominoes, Tiger, where one thing went wrong after the other for the team. First, it was Lee Sin getting caught in the jungle. Cho'Gath died. That led to Trundle being able to get his item in time for that fight. They're down in the bot lane, going in immediately and able to help out his team and basically winning it out for them. So an unfortunate series of events for Air Revival, and right now Nameless Esports are back on track to getting back into the game.
But I do want to mention how close Economical was to actually winning that 1v4. So I think that's still a good indicator that he's in a very strong spot.
Yeah,
Six
but
and
he
one
gave up that big shutdown to
that he
Trundle.
did. So we'll see if Nabrizi's in a good position now to start carrying the game. 3-1-3 has an item and a half. Should be looking pretty good in the side lanes at least, and we'll see if that can create an impact on the fight. I think still a fight that looks a little bit better for the side of Air Esports will go in their favor, but they've got to avoid making that same mistake again.
Yeah, they definitely do. Otherwise, it could cascade into more things going wrong for them. And despite the fact that I think they have the superior team comp, it kind of depends on how they'll be able to do in the early game because they have a lot of early game strength, transitioning into mid game, but they kind of threw it away at this point. They're buying time for Nabrizi to get stronger. Trundle late game is an absolute monster, and so is he on this Victor. If you give them time to scale up, they will abuse that fact and start winning out on team fights just by sheer damage and tankiness alone. It's not even
Yeah,
up to Akshan, really.
it's a buster shot to try to buy some space.
Oh, what?
Comp comes through and Nabrizi picking up the killing spree. Now it's a 4v2 going on in the mid lane. Ryuji going to be burned down by the Chaos Storm. The Cataclysm is here as well. In comes the Grand Starfall. Economical trying to turn around, but he's
Oh,
killed off in time. The double kill coming through for a Balls. It's 3-0 across the map in favor of Nameless Empire.
man. That blunder in the jungle really led to a lot going well for Nameless Empire. Suddenly, they're the ones in control of this game right now. And there was nothing Jersum could do in the bot lane against how fed Breezy is on this Trundle at the moment. He was at a quarter HP and he just got killed immediately by one chump. That's absolute. That's
Yeah,
Tiger. It's not supposed to. It's not supposed to be like this. Damn.
Trundle's a strong champ. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, he's a pretty strong champ right now. And even the nerf that Riot gave him in the last patch, just affecting his pillar, it doesn't matter at this point because Trundle isn't strong because of his pillar at this point. Trundle's strong because he can 1v1 anyone on the enemy team.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really tough when you're trying to nerf a champion's abilities, but their base stats are doing all the work that they need done for them. Well, now Ryuji's pretty deep here, trying to go for some Krugs. Going to be able to smite one
Oh
down, but he's
no.
hit by the gravity well. It is a support in mid trying to take him down. Leandry's starting to tick some damage away, has him about 40% HP. Good rupture coming through from Bobby Rob, and I think that will buy the space they need to disengage.
Yeah, it will. Able
Ooh,
to get out
Oliver
of there.
actually
Oliver going in.
want to engage on the Jersum here, looking for the comeuppance. Now it's a good safeguard coming through from Ryuji, and
Wow.
that will keep Jersum safe. That was an aggressive look from Oliver here on the auction.
Definitely aggressive, but very.
Oh,
Oh wait, he's still going in.
yeah, good Zephyr, but a rocket jump away from Jersum. It means that they will be disengaged once again. Economical going to have to back off of the Scuttle Crab because the roam up from a Balls and Furrock is too strong.
And now because Jersum died 2 times when the minions were at this tower, now Oliver is ahead when it comes to levels. We have a bit of a disconnect.
Yeah, we'll see if that persists.
Oh yeah, there we go. He's back. He's back. All right, no problem. No worries. I think that may have been what the pause was for, but I'm not sure. Anyway, we're back into it. No problem whatsoever. No dramas, and well, we'll see what Air can do to try and get themselves back into this revive, so to speak. Because right now the game feels like it's out of their hands, especially since they can't really make any proactive moves without taking a big risk for themselves. And look at the damage that he's
Yeah,
able to
all
do with Jersum.
Jersum once again. Furrock could be in trouble. Going to be taken down by Jersum, but it's going to be immediate revive coming through as Oliver picks up. And that means it's 1-for-1. Bobby Rob now being chunked out under tower as well. And the Drake about to spawn is going to be going in favor of Nameless Empire once again. So Nameless Empire on a good stretch right now. Nabrizi could be in trouble here. Core trying to show up. Economical here as well. Economical pretty strong still on the Eclipse, but Nabrizi does not care. He's going forward looking for the smite. Flash forward,
What?
and Nabrizi is on a rampage. This is unfair. How do you get to survive when just such a strong ability? Now Nabrizi going to be in the 1v3. We'll see if he can outplay this one as well. A good Dragon's Raid coming through from Ryuji, going to force him onto the wrong side of the map. And the shutdown comes in the form of the Feast going over to Bobby Rob. But an aggressive play from Nabrizi picking up a tower.
Yeah, and well, we see now how strong the Trundle is. He has the Hull Breaker completed as well. So this guy is just gonna be split pushing to Oblivion, and there's no one that can really 1v1 him. They have to send multiple members in order to deal with this Trundle. Otherwise, it's just not gonna work out right now. And were able to get the third dragon as well while Nabrizi was buying time in that top lane. So everything just working out for the side of Nameless Empire. From the early game, it looked very bad for them, and now suddenly things have completely turned around. The only real hope is when Jersam eventually gets to that point where he can start outputting the damage and getting stronger and stronger. He doesn't even have an executioners yet, which is the problem. He has no way of nullifying the healing that Trundle can do as of yet. Only Pantheon can, and he's not even able to kill the Trundle because he already has to play the steel boots, and just a bit of armor goes a long way against fighting a champion with all this lethality.
Yeah, and I think that an important thing to keep in mind is that the global presence of Pantheon is going to be very important in countering the split push here, trying to create unfair.
Uh,
Now Breezy is going for a 1v1, and when you don't have all it's against Starfall for the escape, economical able to get out.
Yeah, I don't think it's gonna be important if Economical has to use it to get out of the way of to escape from Trundle. That's very unfortunate for him, and he just can't win the 1v1. They can't split push against this guy. And if someone does, they just get immediately killed. So at that point, what can you do if you're the side of Air Revival? They kind of themselves into a hole here. They need to be able to dig themselves out by trying to get a pick. Core here is in a lot of trouble though.
Big flag and drag coming through. Core going to be tagged by Tornado as well. And the Breezy is coming in. Pillar going to land the slow. And the Cataclysm onto two. Bobby Rob is stuck here as well. Over the wall, but Core is not going to be so lucky as Nabrizi picking up another kill. And now it's going to be the siege onto the tier 2 in the bot lane. We'll see if any more fighting going to go down here, but I think that it's just going to be some posturing going on. Ryuji walking up a little bit, but that's going to just be a weak trade coming through on the back end of that one. But 1-0, another pick going in favor of Nameless Empire.
Yeah, I mean the gold lead doesn't show it, but they're just super far ahead right now. Once they get they have full map control, they have all the towers, and there's nothing really. Wait,
could be in trouble here. Looking to try find the 1v1 flashes forward, but and on the other end is Economical finishing off the shutdown. Now they're looking towards Baron potentially as two members in the bot lane for the side of Nameless Empire. It's going to be the burn the Baron strategy.
Wait,
the ward is gone. It did spot them starting it up, but it looks like the call is go into the base from the side of Nameless Empire. They're looking to crack the inhib. We'll see just how far they can take it. The Baron going to fall here. 5 members strong with the Baron buff. Inhib going down. We'll see if the siege of the base continues from the Nameless Empire. They look like they may want to go on to the mid tier 3 as well, trying to finish this one off, but Nabrizi going to have to put up the pillar and walk away. It's Baron for an inhib.
I mean, it's a decent trade, honestly. They do get the gold, they do get the Baron buff, but if you have an inhibitor open, it kind of nullifies the split pushing you can do because super minions can match the Baron minions that are pouring into the lane. So even though they did get the Baron, they were able to win out on the play economy wise. It just doesn't feel as big of a comeback as it could be.
A good flag and drag away, and the flash actually burnt from Ryuji. Maybe he didn't realize he didn't have the Dragon's Rage available, but that flash down on the Lee Sin means that he could be a target here in the upcoming fight. 5 members showing up from the side of Nameless Empire. The Pantheon nearby going to have the Grand Star Fall available. Looking for it into the back line. Who is he find his stun onto? It's a good engage coming through, but all picking up the first kills of it's too much power coming through. The kill goes on to Nabrizi, though, which means it's a 4v3 on the map, but no power from the side of the Trundle, but the revive coming through, a double kill going over as well. It's Nameless Empire taking the fight. Bobby Rob into the zone gets killed off for the ace, and it's 5v0 on the map. That means that going towards the Nexus, there's not going to be much resistance coming through. Still 15 plus seconds on all members. Nameless Empire could be looking for the end here. They've got 4 members strong going into the base. Farak to take it up at the beginning. The wave is now here. The first Nexus tower going to be focused up. The respawn's coming through in about 2 seconds. We'll see if it can be in time. It looks like the call is to disengage. Make sure to not give over any counter kills on the back end of the fight. Maybe going to Drake as well. But a good fight going over to the Nameless Empire, and they're able to clean up on the back end of it.
They're not just able to get the fight; they're able to get rid of the Baron. So immediately the desperate play that Air Revival was able to pull off for themselves, they're able to get the big buff for themselves. It got completely nullified, and now their base again even more broken than it was before. That Nexus turret, that last Nexus turret is barely hanging on by the thread right now, and they just can't win out on the 5v5s. They just don't have the consistent amount of damage just yet. Tristana is not on the point where she can carry team fights by herself, and Pantheon's Economical's not just not doing enough damage. You saw they tried to go onto Leahy, they tried to go onto Oliver, but in the end they just didn't have enough damage to burst them all down, and they were able to pull out continuous spell rotations again and again, allow them to win out on the extended team fight.
Yeah, Ryuji going for a Dragon's Rage, just trying to disengage, and it looks like it may be effective, but Farak is walking forward with great pace. Shirelia's buffing the movement speed, not going to be able to be enough to start an actual engage, but threatening them backwards. Let's see if any further in continuation.
Ooh.
That's a big spear from Economical, chunking about 40% of HP away from Farak. Now Nabrizi walking forward, has eyes on Ryuji, could be looking for the kills. Now it's a good safeguard away from Ryuji to get back to safety. But the posturing has begun, and both sides bringing up multiple members towards this top side. They may be looking for an engage on a Nabrizi or walking into the jungle, trying to get some vision down. And now it's going to be Nabrizi walking up once again. We'll see if he can land a pillar. And once again, Ryuji has the safeguard. This seems to be a continuing pattern that we're getting. Now Bobby Rob could be the focus of balls on the front line for Nameless Empire as they try to continue pushing towards this second inhib. The last inhib tower has been taken down and by Nabrizi in the top lane, and it's a Cataclysm 1-2 from a balls. The solar flare misses, and the stun's coming through onto a balls, but it's going to be as Nabrizi trying to take out the next Dragon's Rage, going to keep it alive for a second, but Oliver picking up a kill. One traded back in the Farak trying to keep him alive with the monsoon, but it's going to be a flash away. Ryuji going to go into the stopwatch. Now Bobby Rob able to pick up another kill. Jerson flashing into the back line, going to pick up a third kill, as it's going to be a 4 for 3 so far. And Leahy is the last man standing on the map, avoids the rupture. Big shield coming through for Bobby Rob, but it falls off, and Leahy trying to finish off the kill. Going into the zone is Bobby Rob going to take down, and it's Leahy who's able to win the 1v1. An inhib respawning right now, and it's 2v1 on the map. Core may be looking to find Leahy on the back end of this fight, but the Zenith Blade is not close enough, and it's a 4 for 4 all in all.
That was a very weird play coming from Nameless Empire. They were so split on the map. Trundle was trying to end the game, and the others were trying to fight. They have to be able to talk about this as a team, communicate on what to do. Otherwise, they're just gonna keep giving up kills like that. It's definitely not worth it. You're giving your opponent a chance back into the game, and sure, you definitely outscale. But now Tristana is on 3 items. This Jersum on this pick can play spoiler for against his team. So. Can't play spoiler against them, so definitely have to be watching out for that. Can't be throwing like that, otherwise things could get out of hand real fast. The solace is that the Baron is almost going to be there at least, so they're should be able to get this buff and end the game quickly. But yeah, definitely very dangerous to play. Nabrizi going for the 1v1.
Yeah, and it looks like the Baron should just go over pretty easily, but I think that the most important thing, not only is Tristan 3 items now, the most recent pickup is Lord Dominus Guards, which is finally going to Breezy is immortal. amongst the rest of the champions in the game. He's still walking forward with impunity, not too scared of anyone. But I think Jerson will have the damage now that Nabrizi can't just walk towards the Nexus and try to end the game without considering who else is in the area. 5-man strong is the group now for the side of Air Esports, trying to defend the base. Now Nabrizi trying to walk forward on the winter ground. Now walking up, here's the Nexus under fire. It's going to be
Going in.
Nabrizi trying to finish off the game. The Dragon's Rage comes down, the Grand Starfall, but it's not enough, and the Nexus falls, and we're going to game number 3 as Nameless Empire takes the series back to 1-1.
Man, that was a really good punish from the side of Nameless Empire, able to capitalize on their opponent's mistakes, and because of that, they were able to get themselves online, stall out the game, and end up winning in the in the latter portion of the game, where they become very much unstoppable, especially Nabrizi and Leahy on this Victor and Trundle pick. They got a bit too fed, so to speak, and Victor late game is a monster that you don't want to deal with. So very unfortunate from the side of Air Revival Esports. I expected them to be a lot more clean, but well, they just gave up kill after kill and took bad fight after bad fight and ended up losing the game because of that.
Yeah, and I wasn't expecting this particular Trundle style, but going for a split push as the macro call from the side of Nameless Empire was a drastic contrast from what they were doing last game. Last game, they looked kind of disorganized and never really had a game plan that had any sort of effect. But this time, Nabrizi was just too much to deal with, and they were able to get mismatches on the map because of it. He was just standing in the top lane, and whenever he came into a team fight, he had an impact in that team fight. But often, what the case was it was just a breezy split pushing and doing too much damage to be counteracted by whatever play was going on the other side of the map.
Yeah, that's the problem, right? Breezy got too fed. He got way too fed. He got too far ahead. Once he got that kill onto Lee Sin and Cho'Gath, it was just over from there. Honestly, it felt like Nabrizi just took control of the game, able to teleport down, get the dragon for his teammates. So at that point, if you're if you're the side of Air Revival, you're wondering what the hell happened. That because you were winning the early game, Economical was just going so far ahead. But unfortunately, they threw it, and in the end, it was going to be Nameless Empire who's going to take the dub.
Well, we'll see if Air Esports Revival can bring it back and win the series 2-1 when we go to our conclusive game number 3 on the other side of this break. Welcome back, everyone. We're getting into the draft for game number 3. We'll once again have Air Esports Revival back on the blue side as they were in game number 1, which means Nameless Empire will be back on the red side. Last time they were in this arrangement, Air Esports Revival picked a pretty strong engage comp. And Miles, what does Nameless Empire have to do this time as a red side team to counteract that?
Honestly, they can just do what they did in the last game to be. But the problem is they need to be able to not get behind in the early game. I don't think they can count on Air Esports Revival on giving them on throwing the game away essentially every single time they play. So they kind of need to be able to fight back in the early game to get a chance to scale up into the late game if they want to draft a scaling comp like that again. I think a better ADC would suit them better. Of course, the auction worked out well enough. It wasn't really punished as a pick super accordingly. So if Nameless Empire could get some more early game advantages for themselves, I think that would be super good. On the side of Air Esports Survival now, they've shown consistency in their early game that they can be the better team at that point, but they have to not over aggress and make sure that they don't take fights. They don't take fights that will lead to multiple losses across the map because I swear, I feel like Ryujin dying there in the top side of the jungle kind of just ended the game for them.
Yeah, well, we're seeing some different bans coming through this time around. We've got the Janna and Trundle both being taken away by Air Esports Revival this time around, and the Jarvan has been banned out for the first time. The last 2 games, it's been first picked. So Nameless Empire not wanting to see that one get first picked away again. Gonna take that off the table, but that means they're leaving open something else, and looks like that's the
Whoa.
that got left open by Nameless Empire. The Viego first pick here. So we're on to the next stage of junglers behind the Jarvan and Xin Zhao and Trundle. So the Viego with a potential carry pick for Air Esports.
Yeah, okay. Viego being picked up. I mean, it is still a carry jungler, but you kind of have to play differently around it. You definitely need Viego to be farming up. So should be in the same kind of vein as a Skarner who also wants to farm up in the early game, reach that level 6. Viego wants to be the carry. So you have to be able to support this Viego as he starts farming up. He starts going for invades in order to get him ahead. Because when he's ahead, he is he can be a bit of a monster, honestly. So this is a very interesting jungle pick. Galio, well, if there's a roaming mid laner that can support a Viego pick, definitely gonna be Galio. I definitely like this pick. It can also be flexed into support if needed, but I think that's definitely gonna go into mid lane. While Victor being picked up, this is probably one of the classic matchups. Honestly, Victor versus Galio, the farming mid laner that wants to get to the late game versus the mid laner that wants to roam around the map. So we'll see which style of play ends up working out for which team.
Yeah, and back to the Nautilus for the bot lane. Well, I want Nameless Empire to have some agency in the bot lane. Obviously, the Janna taken away here, but that means the Lulu left open, so that's going to
Okay.
be snapped up. I like the Lulu as an answer to the Nautilus, and I like it to be with something like a Cogma that you can look as a hyper carry with. But that means that right now they've got 2 lanes where they don't really necessarily win early, because I don't think that any ADC matchup is going to overcome Nautilus's early game advantage here. So I'd like to see a top laner from Nameless Empire that's got a strong early game so that they have a lane to play through.
Yeah, that's true. We'll see what they decide to go for. They kind of do either have to. I think they should pick their ADC now and then give counter pick to top lane. That they know their top lane has the advantage, right? So I'm assuming they're gonna go for their ADC next. What could pair with Lulu? Well, there are a lot of hyper carries that could work out. You have Twitch, you have Jinx, you have Tristana can also work out as a pick. So definitely a lot of options for them to pick. Looks like they're gonna be banning the Tristana instead. Probably gonna be picking something else.
I think it's going to be
We'll see.
Vayne. The Vayne
Vayne.
getting that's big brain from Air Esports. It's
There we
been
go.
was a combo that's already been played twice in the first 4 games by Nameless Empire. So good awareness of the history of the matchup. So
What's the score between these two teams anyway? Do we know?
what was the question?
What's the score between these two teams? Do we know?
In all time,
Oh, 1-1 for both. So whoever wins this one will take a lead for themselves in the standing. So definitely something you want to win. Get that early lead for yourselves. Give yourselves a lot of how do we say leeway when it comes to playoffs. But anyway, Ash being picked up. I'm not sure I agree too much with this pick, honestly. Ash, sure she has a fine late game, but she's not really an ADC that you want to play around, right? Especially since you have a Lulu. Ash is not really an ADC that you can support super well. Sure, she has good damage in the late game. She has all around good stats in every part of the game. She has a lot of CC, but she just doesn't give the firepower. You know what I mean, Tiger?
I understand what you're saying, but I think that Ash is in a strong enough spot right now that that can kind of be
She got
mitigated.
nerfed.
Degree. Got nerfed?
Yeah.
Got nerfed by how badly? Is
Her
the
early,
win rate
her
2 or 3%?
her early game got gutted, which was the good part of Ash.
Bro, it's so sad. The Jin, I love the Jin pickup here for Air.
The Jin's great. Yeah, there we go. That's a good pick.
That's going to be a lot of damage coming through. It's huge early game for Air Esports Revival. I think that if this does get to late game, then Nameless Empire's got a much better comp for that. Oh, they're bringing back the
Oh.
split with the Camille.
Well, against Darius. Okay, guys, look at the top lane. It's gonna be a spicy matchup. We saw this in LEC, where it was Adam on the Darius versus Wonder on the Camille. It went Darius's way, and that could easily snowball out of control. So definitely, both top laners will have to be a bit more careful in this matchup. But it's gonna be super exciting to watch, guys. This game is gonna look like a banger.
Yeah, and this is to decide the series as well. So with everything on the line, there's a lot more pressure than game 1 or 2, especially for Air Esports Revival after having the lead in game 2 by a score of 1-0, and
Yeah.
now they're back to even. So both sides have the pressure of win this game to win the series, or lose
Yeah,
this game to lose the series.
It's basically a best of one for them right now between these two teams. So it'll be interesting to see who will have the mental to manage and break through. Now, looking at the composition as a whole, I end up liking the Ash pick a lot more because of that Camille pick. The fact that it feels like what they're gonna be doing is gonna be supporting their top laner to try and do well, and then once he's able to be the carry, Ash can give Camille a lot of leeway, a lot of chase potential, along with the support from the Lulu and the Skarner. I like this competition a lot more from Nameless Empire now that I see it as a whole. So the Ash pick, despite the fact that she got nerfed, it still makes sense in the composition, which is something I like, you know.
Mm-hmm. And I do like Ash with Lulu as well. I think that the speed up that Lulu can give in combination
That's
with the
true.
slow from Ash's frost shot passive, I think that makes it very difficult to escape from them. So that's a lot of gank setup, and with Skarner as well as Camille, I think that there's a lot of synergy within the whole team.
Yeah, they have all these opportunities to be able to make picks for themselves, especially if they can isolate fights. Meanwhile, on the other side, well, they got the roam potential from the Galio. The Viego can be extremely strong once he starts getting those resets. Darius has to snowball to be useful. Otherwise, he's going to end up being a bit of a liability for his team. So I want to see the top side really be overloaded on the side of Air Revival. They need to overload that top side, kind of leave Jin alone to farm up by himself. Nautilus, Galio, Viego, Darius, they just need to explode up there to make sure Nabrizi is kept at bay. Otherwise, he could just run away with it.
Yeah, and I like the theme here of resets coming through. I think the Darius Viego combination, if one of them gets ahead, then it could be easy to see both of them snowballing, because you get one reset on Darius, that means Viego also gets a reset, and then that just makes the team fight infinitely more difficult to play on the Nameless Empire. So
Yeah.
they're going to have to be very careful about which fights that they're going to take and which fights they need to leave alone.
The biggest problem, I think, is that the biggest problem for the side of Air Revival right now is the fact that they're opting into a more early game comp again. If they mess up in the mid game like they did in game 2, they're just gonna get outscaled by the Victor, by Ash, by Camille. It's no question. So they definitely need to Make sure that they have no mistakes in the early to mid game in order to run away with the game and snowball.
All right. Well, all of the picks are in. All that's left to do is play the game. So we'll take a short break, and on the other side, we'll have game number 3 to decide who wins between Air Esports Revival and Nameless Empire. Welcome back, everyone. It's time to get into game number 3, and we've got well, should be a good matchup here. I'm having a little technical difficulties myself, so we'll see if this
Uh,
persists.
all right, I can take over at least for early game. So right now we've got another 5 point between the two, but we have a bit of an invade just trying to find information. It seems like for Ryuji, trying to know where the enemy jungler is going to start so that he can either counter or wait. Oh, the teleport got stopped. That's so bad. The timing is so bad for Yuji. He's like he gets stopped. He won't be able to get the sweeper lens for himself, and suddenly he finds himself at a bit of a disadvantage when it comes to clearing wards. So his ganking, if he does decide to go for it, will be very ineffective. Okay, I think Tiger's out still. So all right, so we're gonna look at the way these two teams are going to play out this early game. Looks like both junglers are going to be starting on the bottom side, so we expect them to be there to be a bit of a fight in the Scuttle Crab towards the top side. It will depend on who will have priority and who will be able to get that right. So Camille versus Darius, very volatile lane matchup. We could expect something to happen between levels 1 to 3 depending on how things go. Maybe Bobby Rob decides to go for an all in, the Breezy manages to mess up, or the other side could be true as well. So we'll have to see. But it looks like Darius is going to be able to get the push. But there's a lot of problems right now for Jersum, who is getting caught out again and again. He has to flash out immediately. And well, brought down to such low HP. He has to heal up. And we can see the power of the Lulu and Ashe in this level 1. They're just very strong, very hard to deal with. Nothing much they can do. And Jersum finds himself at a complete disadvantage in the lane. Okay, meanwhile, level 2 is hit for both sides. Core and Jersum still in a lot of trouble, but it looks like Bobby Rob will have to push there in the top lane right now and should be able to help Viego get the scuttle. So Ryuji should have the advantage in that matchup as well. So despite the bot lane trying being a bit of a disaster for the side of Air Revival, they still have some positives going for them on the top side that they can definitely use to be able to get an advantage in this game. So we'll see how well it turns out. Bot lane has to play a lot more safe. And guys, it doesn't feel good when the bot lane has to play safe because the dragon is there. So definitely something they have to be able to punish right now. If you're the side of Air Revival, they can go for a gank onto the Ashe and the Lulu. There's not too much mobility on these two champions, so definitely vulnerable to a Viego roaming down there. But for now, it'll just be a straight point from Oliver on this Ashe. The early game still going in their favor, but Jersum, he has done a very good job. Meanwhile, there's a gank here in the top lane. The hook shot lands onto Bobby Rob, but well, there we go. Slowed down. A ball trying to go in on it. He immediately decides to pop his ghost to be able to get out of the gank. Meanwhile, the Skull Crab does go in favor of Viego, so Luigi will be able to take that right now. They're going in again onto the Darius. Bobby Rob does manage to get the stun off, so good stuff from him. And they're going in the stun onto a balls. He has to flash out immediately, and that's a big advantage for the top side of Air Revival.
Whew. Apologies for the technical difficulties coming through. My computer
Oh, you're
froze,
back.
but I'm back in the game now. It looks like pretty even early game, but a lot of summoners having been blown, so we'll see if those end up getting punished.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, it feels like they could decide to go for another gang on towards the top side since there is a hex splash on the walls pulse with his corner, but Ryuji is trying to get the double scuttle against his team. Balls has to be carefully surrounded.
Balls double here, going to be dropped pretty low, but a good stun's coming through. A balls will drop as the first blood goes down. 2 kills in
Oh
favor of
no.
Esports Revival, make it a third as the Ryuji able to get the resets coming through, and that makes it 3-0 and the scuttle fight.
Ah man, that's gotta feel bad, man, if you're a Nameless Empire, especially with how well bot lane was going for it. They had such a big advantage, especially with no summoners on to Jersum on this Jin who is very vulnerable. Instead, the fight happens in the mid lane, and in the end, it will be Air Revival who are going to take the victory there. They could decide to go for. They decided not to go for the dragon. That's not strong enough just yet. They'll be able to go for it, but that's a big advantage for them in the bot lane and top lane as well. It's just I said that the game plan for Air Revival was to get ahead, and they have done that. So now it's on them to be able to really start snowballing this hard. Otherwise, there's a definitely a possibility Nameless Empire can come back into this.
Yep, and I think that when you get those 3 early kills, the question is not only can you get more kills off of it, but how many extra resources can you gain? Because once you have those advantages, not only do you have kill pressure against the enemy, but you have zoning ability to try to stop them from being able to farm properly. Especially when you've got like a Jin Nautilus bot that's so threatening that you can just walk forward and deny minions just by standing in front of the wave. So we'll see if they're able to build up some CS advantages. Looks like a
Oh,
ball may want to get a fight going in the top lane with the gank. Has the stuns going down onto Bobby Robin. Here comes the
oh,
engage. It's going to be the grand entrance or the heroic entrance.
oh,
And it's a dunk coming down, a double kill
oh
going in favor of
no!
Bobby Rob. Make it a triple. It's just the one at a time strategy, as it's going to be the dunks coming back to back to back, and now three
Now
on the Darius, 6-0 on the game, and it's going heavily in favor of Air Esports Revival.
and look at all the farm that Camille is losing, as well as the EXP. Darius gets a plate. He gets 3 kills. This is a beautiful early game for Bobby Rob right now on this pick. Absolutely getting so far ahead, and it was just because of that hero's entrance. Economical has been absolutely stellar on the roams right now, very much on point. There's not much they could, and there's not much the enemy team could do. Nameless Empire found themselves on the back foot so early, 6-0 on the scoreboard right now, and all the kills are going to the champions that they don't want to see getting stronger and stronger.
And look at economical 006 scoreline has complete kill participation. We're also checking in here on the gold advantage individually. Huge advantage, about 1,000 for economical, about 1,000 for Bobby Rob, and pretty close around the rest of the map. 3 to 500 advantages for the rest of the players. That all adds up to over 3,000 gold lean advantages for the side of Air Esports Revival. So they're in very good position to continue this advantage. They've got Prio over the first Drake and maybe looking to have a repeat of what sort of went on during the first game.
Yeah, I mean, they're even in a better position than they were in the first game, honestly. The fact that they're so strong at the moment means that they can just basically they have control of the game. They have control of the map. They can choose to give up what they want. They can choose to give what they want. Their Herald is being taken as a cross map play, at least by a balls to answer the dragon that was taken. At least a bit of a win for the side of Nameless Empire, but it's a bit rough, the game state, not gonna lie right now. Breezy in a lot of trouble, might find
Yeah,
himself.
Bobby Rob has the ghost forward, and Ball's flashing to try to set up a play, but it's going to be trouble. I mean, I don't know how
Oh
much
no.
damage they have. Bobby Rob may be able to win that 1v2. With the teleport coming in from Economical, they've definitely got the advantage. The taunt able to land, and it's into a Justice Punch. Nabrizi going to be able to use the hook shot to get out, and it's going to
Oh!
be the Tech ultimatum to
Oh
finish off
no!
Economical. Nabrizi burning down to the bleed, and now Ball's in trouble. The
Oh!
bleed is able to finish off the kill, and a heartbreaker over the wall turns it into a double kill for Bobby Rob, once again able to outplay the gank.
I mean, that was messy, but it still worked out for the side of Air Revival. Bobby Rob getting further and further ahead, 5-0 on this Darius pick right now. It's kind of a nightmare scenario for Nabrizi on this Camille. They almost could have gotten a kill on Bobby Rob, and that was a bit of a flub on his ult on the execution. But well, they still managed to bring it in the end. So again, the advantage still goes over to Air Revival. They're just going in onto Leahy.
Yeah, big
Oh,
play.
the hero Sanchez.
Or Leahy could be in trouble here. The heroic entrance finds the knock-up, and it's going to be the Ignite finishing off Core picking one up for himself, 2-0-1 on the Nautilus.
Yeah, and at this point, if you're the side of Nameless Empire, you're starting to think to yourself, okay, things are going super bad right now. They have to be able to play safe in order to make sure they don't give up any more kills. But against a Darius that's this far ahead, against against a Galio and against a Viego who's just happy to dive you under turret, it just feels so hard. It feels so undoable. But I mean, it's not over yet. Of course, there's still a lot of game to play. They still definitely have a chance to get back into this.
Yeah, economical trying to set the kill. Good hook comes in from Core. Now it's going to be the wild growth to keep Balls alive. And now it's going to be the disengage coming through as Furok able to successfully save his jungler. Now Nabrizi may be in trouble here. It's going to be Ryuji looking for the kill. Not going to quite be able to find it, but with such a big zone, it means that it's more plates going over to Bobby Rob.
Yep, Bobby Rob just basically has a free lane for himself right now. He is so far ahead. He doesn't care how many people try to go for his lane. He's got the backup he needs. The hero's entrance not quite there yet. I should be able to get this turret in 11 minutes into it. He will be able to get the first turret of the game. So Darius fed. Check. Put that on the checklist right now. Now they have to be able to use his lead to get more leads around the map and start snowballing this game to a close.
Yeah, and I don't know what you can do when the Darius is this far ahead. You basically need a 3v1 to even have a chance. You might need to roam your support and mid laner up to try to set up a fight.
Like
I mean,
even then, even
if
then, Tiger, even if it's a 3v1, there's a potential Darius just kills them all.
yeah, I don't know how you deal with that. You got to be able to get resources somewhere on the map, but it's not going to be in top lane right now. I'd like to look at the individual gold once again just to see how absurd it is. It's already almost 2,500 just in favor of Bobby Rob in his lane. Has a 20 CS lead an entire tower and 5 kills. So doing pretty well for himself there, but not a huge change anywhere on the rest of the map. But the gold lead ballooning to 5K in favor of Air Esports Revival.
Yep, 5K right now, and so early into the game too. Last time they had the lead, they managed to like flub it, but this time, this lead feels a bit unlosable. Honestly, when you're this far ahead and you know how to snowball this game, because these guys they're fairly high up in the ladder, some diamonds, some platinum, so they definitely should know how to be able to close out a lead like this. Make sure not to take too many bad fights right now. They were able to get some gold into their pockets because of the rip. Gotcha, going
Back
flash.
into Impale. This could be the engage that they needed. Jersum going to have to flash out, going to be able to survive though, and opening up the curtain. Going to try to finish off the balls. Now it's going to turn into a 5v5 as the teleport's coming in. It's going to be a stopwatch in the front line from Core. Core dropping to under 500 HP, but the rotation already coming through towards Drake. That is the call from Air Esports Revival. But now
Oh no.
economical go for a justice punch, going to be able to tag out Furok, and Furok with such low HP already was not able to do anything on the way out of that one. It's 5v4 on the map. It's an Infernal Drake going down in favor of Air Esports Revival, and they continue their dominance over this game.
Yeah, and dominance it is right now as they're able to get the dragon for themselves. The lead continues. That was one kill more going over to them, and at that point, there's nothing Nameless Empire could do once they expended all their ultimates in the fight to try and win that out. The fact that they actually managed to make it out of that one fight without any casualties was mind blowing to me. They're able to save their teammates, but fortunately, Lulu getting caught out that pretty much sealed the deal for them. They couldn't face check anymore into the bush to try and have a chance at a steal onto the dragon, and it is going to be a mountain soul for this game. So even the burst coming from the Camille will probably not be enough once the resistances start piling up, and this Darius he's just getting more and more. He's just getting farther and farther ahead.
Yeah, and with Darius being this far ahead, that means that there's going to be 2 areas of the map pretty much at all times that are under threat by the side of Air Esports Revival. And I do want to know, Miles, what do you think is the possible way back into this game if you're the side of Nameless Empire?
You have to play safe. Yeah, I have no idea honestly at this point. we know how it feels like in solo queue when the Darius just gets so far ahead. It starts becoming way too big of a threat to fight against. Honestly, if Nameless Esports the game's out of control, absolutely. They need to find either picks or they need to hope that the side of Air Revival makes a mistake. Like someone gets caught out, especially the Darius. If he gets shut down onto an important target like the Victor, then they can possibly stall enough, especially with the wave clear they have, to be able to scale up into the later portion of the game. Problem
Yeah,
is, Camille is so far behind. Ash is pretty far behind. Even Victor is far behind. So there is hope that they can scale, but I don't think they just have enough time to be able to do it.
yeah. Ryuji dropping the Rift Herald mid is going to be able to take the mid tier 1 out, which means that the map state is becoming even more open for Air Esports Revival. They should be able to get their vision mines forward, and now they're going to be able to more effectively start to choke out a lot more resources. They can start counter jungling as well, uh, and it looks like they should be able to have access to the next Drake coming up in 2 minutes pretty easily unless they give over a pick. But Bobby Rob just standing
Just
forward.
standing
It looks
there
like he's been,
menacingly.
but it looks like the dive's starting to come in on to Leahy, the Heartbreaker in here and try to finish off the kill. The burn is going to be enough, and Ryuji picking up the kill in the dive. But Bobby Rob getting hit with the Hex Tech Ultimatum, not able to outplay the 1v3, and the shutdown goes over to a balls.
Okay, it's not ideal. I think the shutdown would have been better off on the Camille, but definitely at least that threat part of the map is gone. But unfortunately, it was a 1-for-1. Lehe was also taken down there in the bot lane without a single casualty on their part. It was a clean dive on the bot side, so still in a bad situation. They'll need a lot more of that. Nameless will need a lot more of that to be able to even think about getting back into this game. But right now, things are still looking pretty dire. 1 minute, 30 seconds till the Mountain Soul appears. You can bet that the side of Air Revival will have enough control to be able to take that for themselves. But I think Nameless Empire should give that one up. Try to get more items and then play for the Inferno for the Mountain Soul.
Yeah, maybe look for a pick on the back end of the Drake would be a nice thing. That like, I think that Nameless Empire here, you just want to always be on the lookout for picks because that's how you can get quick gold into the inventory.
Hmm.
But it doesn't have to necessarily be going towards the Drake. It can be going away from the Drake and maybe just set up a death brush and try to find someone out away from the rest of the team. But
Yeah,
it
and they
does
have the
look
tools for
like
it.
it does
They have
look
the
like
tools for it, right?
testing vision here. We'll
Yeah.
see if they're able to continue that, but it looks like with
There's
three
no way they
members,
can test this. They shouldn't. They
yeah,
definitely shouldn't.
and Nabrizi is topside as well, so I think that they will be backing off here shortly. But they're at least giving the appearance that they want to test. But the resets coming through now tell the real story.
Mm. Yeah, and this Nameless, they definitely have the tools to be able to make picks around the map. If they can utilize them effectively, then that's definitely the way to go. It's just gonna be so hard to find the opportunities because right now, Air Revival, it seems like they learned from the last game. They're just not letting it happen right now. They're making sure all their bases are covered. Only Bobby Rob is really the one in risk as he's split pushing and doesn't really have too much mobility to get out of any situation. But he can win a 1v. He can win a 1v1. He can win a 1v2. So they have to be careful. And Economical's even winning against the Breezy on the Galio. This is not a good situation for the top laner right now at the moment.
This is an interesting Galio build. It's Shirelius into well, he
Oh, they're
could be
going for
trying
it.
to flash forward into the Hextech Ultimatum. Now here comes the Enchanted Crystal Arrow, and the breeze dropping pretty low here. It's a 1v4 though for Economical. Here comes the
Oh,
curtain kill. It's going to
oh,
wipe out Nabrizi. Jerson being able to pick up the kill. Now Core going to blast going over the wall. He's got the heroic entrance coming on the back end. Bobby Rob there to pick up the second kill of the fight. Core looking for a dive as well. Going to be a taunt landing on Oliver. He's flashing away, but
oh.
Jerson the Gale Force on the back end to find the execute flash forward from Bobby Rob, and there's nowhere
Oh,
to go. He gets dunked, and that means it's a 4-for-1 in favor of Air Esports Revival.
oh no! Boss Wall's also here. He's gonna
Yeah.
get taken down as well, and there's the ace.
Well,
You know what's the fun part? That was a 4v5. Viego took no part in that except for the last kill at the end. Ryuji was just in mid lane trying to push up the lane, and in the end, it was the side of Air Supply that Air Revival that came out on top. I feel like they can just force a fight at the Baron and still win out. So they should go for reset right now, then immediately force Baron to force the enemy team into making a decision. Either they give it up or have to go for a desperate fight. They will win either way.
Yeah, and I think that you just got to give it up at this point. We just saw what happens when the fight happens, so I don't think that going for another fight is going to look any different. And maybe finding a pick is going to work, but it's going to have to be a perfect pick if you're the side of Nameless Empire in this situation. I mean, Bobby Rob going to be able to clean something up if they don't have the perfect 3 versus 1, 4 versus 1. Once that second member arrives, as we saw in the last pick attempt onto Economical, then it just goes sideways, and all of the members who showed up are at risk of dying.
Yep, that's the thing, right? The only thing I can criticize the side of Air Revival for is that Dead Man's Plate on the Darius. I think it really needed. I think he'd be better off getting what's it called? Well, it's escaping my mind right now.
Sarah,
I'm feeling super tired. The Serex Gauge, there we go. I think Serex Gauge would be much more useful for
Tails.
Darius.
Bobby
Okay.
Rob could be in trouble here. Teleport coming in. But meanwhile, Ryuji going to find the kill in the Heartbreaker. Now in the Hextech Ultimatum.
Oh
Going to be able
what?
to heal up off the Decimate. The heroic entrance going to buy some space. Bobby Rob looking for a re-engage. Going to spin to win. Going on a killing spree. And now it's going to be the curtain call looking for another kill. And it looks like that's going to be it for the fight. It's going to be 2-1, 2-0 in favor of Nameless, or not in favor of Nameless Empire, in favor of Air Esports Revival as they turn onto the Baron.
Yep. This Baron is free for the taking. The jungler is gone, and Nameless Empire they can't strike back. The Empire doesn't strike back in this one, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean,
That would have been
even
so
when
good in the second game. That would have been
the Empire
a
Strikes
zinger.
Back was the sequel, the second movie. This is the third movie we're
It's the
getting.
Return of the Jedi. Return of Air
Yeah,
Revival.
yes, Air Esports Revival are returning for this game, and they come in strength.
Yeah, they're coming in strong right now, and all the advantages to them. They can just run it down mid, honestly. But I think they're gonna play a bit more conservatively than that. They're gonna at least go for a 4-1 strategy, where either Bobby Rob or Galio is going to be the one split pushing.
Could be
Because
1-3-1.
yeah, I mean they could go for a 1-3-1. It could be either. They can do whatever they want. Tiger. They can run it down 5 in the mid lane. They can go for a 1-3-1. They can go for a 1-4. At this point, at this part of the game when it's a 10,000 gold lead, it doesn't really make doesn't really make a big difference, you know.
I would say to the contrary. I think anything would work, but it does make a big difference because some things are going to get you a lot more than other things. So choosing the right one is important, but no matter what they choose, it'll go well for them is what I'd
Yeah,
say.
that's the problem. You could go for the more optimal strat, or you could just go for the one you feel at the moment.
Yeah, it
Oh
looks
wait,
like a
Bobby
big
Rob.
once again it's going to be Nabreezy trying to finish off the kill into Bobby Rob, and an enchanted crystal arrow flies true. It's going to be the shutdown going over to Nabreezy. Now with Balls trying to find a 1v1 against the enemy jungler, but Ryuji has the power. He's going to take him out, and it's 1-for-1 across the map.
I just gotta say, Darius wins that if he had Serax.
Yeah, that's fair. I have no argument there, but no matter the case, the Mountain Drake is going down, and this is going to be Soul going over to Air Esports Revival.
Yeah, this is a curious build too from the side of Skarner going for the Triforce instead of a more tanky build. I think a more tanky build would have worked more, especially since they're so far behind and they need boss bosses to be able to survive to try and engage and find a target for them to be able to pick off of. So
I do like the
uh
anathemas, though.
yeah, the not much change is pretty good. But everyone's doing damage on the side on the side of on the side of air revival. Like who do you give it to? You could
You
put it
got to
onto
give
the
it to
Jin.
Darius, right?
You could give it to the Darius too, but Viego's also doing a lot of damage. Jin is doing a lot of damage. Galio hasn't fallen off just yet. He's so far ahead of his opponent item wise. Uh it just an Atma change is good if they're even and there's only one damage threat right now. But man, Air Revival, they just have everything. They have everything they could possibly want.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter what item that he has. There's some that are going to help him more maybe as the game continues, but right now the deficit's too high. It doesn't matter too much the items.
Yep. Right now we're pretty much just waiting for Air Revival to be able to seal the deal on this one. It's looking super likely that they're gonna end up winning, especially with an 11,000 gold lead. Now there is the possibility if it goes long enough, if Air Revival decides to stall long enough, that an Elder Steal is possible. So definitely don't want to let it come down to that, and I think the side of Air Revival will want to end this as soon as possible.
Yeah, and with the scaling on Leahy, even though he's 040 with 221 CS, he's got two items. I mean, eventually Victor gets strong no matter what.
Yeah, but he needs time, and he's not being given the opportunity right now. It is going to be a 1-3-1 coming out from the side of Air Revival. They're going to get the first turret, and there's not much Nameless Empire can do besides try to hold on as best as they can to this game by the thread, trying to hope for something. And look at that, like he tries to go onto economical, and he tickles him.
Yeah, Galio's just too good at absorbing magic damage. I don't think that's the lane matchup that you really want. Maybe you just need Leahy there to clear the waves. But if that's the case, then assigning economical to that lane is
Oh,
really
they're
the
going for
great
it.
decision. Enchanted Crystal Arrow trying to set something up here. Heroic Entrance going to be the parry to that, and making sure that there's no kills going down. But that is going to be enough of a threat to force the rest of the team to back away. Bobby Rob and Ryuji could be in
Go in.
trouble. Nabrizi trying to go in, not going to be able to find anything just yet. The impale goes down onto Bobby Rob, but the flash forward into
Oh!
a three-man taunt coming down from Economical. Now it's going to be a hook on the engage. No kills going down just yet. Now it's one going on to Nabrizi. Ryuji being able to pick up the kill, looking for more. Core's in trouble, going to be shut down by the tower. Oliver getting credit for that kill. It's 1-for-1. Economical very low. Ryuji pretty low as well. They will be able to pick up the tower, but they will be forced to reset.
I can't believe that was just a 1-for-1. It looked like it was a prime time for Darius to start resetting, get his ultimates off. Unfortunately, not able to get the execute on and not able to get the combo off, but they are pinging towards the Baron. They do have the advantage. Enemy jungler is still alive though, so that's something they'd have to be wary of. And the flash is there for a balls. If he can manage to steal, then he can stall for more time because as you said, the wave clear isn't too good. It's gonna be hard for Air Revival to siege if once TP Lahey has TPS Lahey has a Baron buff, so that's something we have to look out for. But Skarner is just so far away.
Yeah, interesting build path for Nabrizi, actually picking up the hull breaker, which suggests that he wants to go into a side lane, trying to be able to counteract some of the split push capability. We'll see if that ends up actually being effective, or if that just is mitigating how hard that he loses a 1v1 matchup.
Yep. I mean, he could try to go for it. That's his best chance. Economical. Okay, he saw the word. Thought he might miss it, but he managed to see it and he's gonna clear it. And the rest of his team, they're just gonna go immediately towards the Baron. And Skarner is nowhere nearby to try and go for a steal. And even if he does, Bobby Rob is right there to make sure that it doesn't happen.
Yeah, it looks like this is just being seeded by the side of
Yeah, they
Nameless
see it
Empire
happening.
here. We're just gonna give this one up. The hot shot comes through, but not enough time for a balls to show up in the Baron pit. That means that it's 5-man strong on the Baron buff, and it looks like they'll go straight to the mid lane with that. And Air Esports Revival looking to start tracking the base once again. They've got the wave going towards the mid lane, and with the inhib tower at about half. they'll be chunking that one out with the cannon. I don't know how you take this cannon down, and just going to have to be long range poke coming
Oh,
through.
they're
But a
going.
ball kick has found his way onto Jersum. It's a shutdown going over. It's a trade kill 1-for-1 as balls will fall himself. But now the siege is going to continue, and even losing the AD carry is not enough to dissuade the side of Air Esports from going in. And now it's the flash forward into the hook. The heroic entrance going to find a knock up onto one. Oliver going to go down to Ryuji, who's gone legendary. Bobby Rob picking up the kill on the Nabrizi. It's 4v2 on the map. The Heartbreaker resets are coming in. Ryuji looking to find one more potentially. It's 4v1 onto the map. And now it's going to be the wave taken down 4v1 into the base. Just Furrock trying to stall out the game. But I think this is going to do it for us. Air Esports Revival taking down the final Nexus Tower, and the Nexus shortly to fall afterwards. And it's going to be 2-1 in favor of Air Esports Revival.
What a great series from Air Esports Survival. Sure, they lost game 2 due to a throw, but they were consistent with regards to their early game, right? They were able to get leads again and again and again. And I think the third game was the ultimate example of that, where Darius just got so far ahead. And at that point you're wondering yourself, okay, what can we do against this guy? There's literally nothing. They couldn't even put a scratch onto him unless there were four people literally collapsing onto him. They needed to 4v1 this guy in order to be able to win out. And with all the resource pointed towards that direction, the rest of his team can just take map control elsewhere. And I gotta say, MVP for me probably might end up being economical. On the Galio, always on time. Look at the amount of kills he was able to get for his team. All the assists went to him, and he was at possibly more than a 90% kill participation. He was the reason why Bobby Rob got so far ahead.
Yeah, and I think that if you expand it to the whole series, you'll remember that in game 2, Pantheon, he was 6-1 in the early game. I mean, before the throw, it was all economical as well. And so throughout the series, we've seen good performances from specifically the mid lane for Air Esports Revival. But I think that all around they played pretty well together. And I think on the other side, Nameless Empire had a very good showing in game number 2, but they struggled to find consistency. They were really playing on the back foot most of the time and just taking what they could get. And that was enough to get game number 2, but not enough to win the series.
Yep, very unfortunate for the side of Nameless Empire. Hopefully they can bounce back. But well, it will be Air Revival Esports who will be going on with the two series wins so far in this in Runeterra Academy second semester. Looking forward to seeing them in the rest of the season.
Well, that will just about do it for our cast tonight. Thank you, everyone, for joining. And we've got a 2-1 series victory by Air Esports Revival. And hopefully, we'll see you all here tomorrow for seniors. Next Sunday, we'll have week 4 of the junior division of Runeterra Academy. And I am Tiger. I've been here with Miles David, producer Wookie, and have a good night.